Wake up. It's time for Primal Scream.
Hey, welcome back to the Primal Scream. I'm Matt.
I'm Todd.
I'm Rock.
I'm Jared.
And you just heard it. We have a bunch of really special guests with us tonight.
Very special.
I love it. I love it. And I was so psyched this morning, even though I was up till 2 a.m. last night editing the last podcast. I woke up at 7, got the kids ready for school, and I thought, okay, my wife's home. I'm going to let her handle the kids a little bit. I'm going to come back down. I'm going to finish some stuff. I'm going to get some thoughts. I'm going to get prepared for tonight. And what's today?
November 6th or something?
It's November
It's the
6th.
6th. Yeah.
Oh, the 5th.
And you know what's cool about today?
What's that?
Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder, treason, and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgotten.
Here's the thing. Yesterday, some really amazing shit was going on around the world. And if you weren't tuned in to RT or other non-normal media sites, you would not have known that yesterday was a big day for Guy Fawkes. You know, the whole anonymous
Right.
group. And Guy Fawkes had this whole thing on November 5th, how he tried to blow up Parliament back in the day. And yesterday, it just astounded me how many anonymous people, how Anonymous has reached out globally.
It's awesome.
You just saw this the other day, or a few weeks ago, with the popcorn revolution, right? Where they were coming out in protest of Monsanto, and that was but a hush. You didn't see any of that shit on Fox News,
CNN.
nothing,
None of that shit.
nothing.
Anything amazing media.
Right, exactly. Anything that gets an FCC license.
Yeah. So I thought it was just, I was beside myself. So we've never seen anything like this. Nothing. When I saw this, when I saw what was happening, I thought, okay, finally we're at a point where maybe I'm seeing some hope, where maybe people who want to have change actually have some teeth, and people care, and they're willing to get out there, and they're willing to do something. And I love the fact that they're all wearing masks, because you can't just get pissed and be like, oh, that black guy was a dumbass, or that white chick over there was a dumbass.
They can't
It's just
stereotype
everybody
the
was
movement.
Guy Fawkes.
Right.
Everybody was wearing the mask.
They can't stereotype the movement.
Yeah, it was great.
And they even had, I saw a great picture with a little kid who had the Guy Fawkes mask on and was holding a sign that said, "Someday I will rule the world." It was some little teeny kid. So it was awesome. I think it's neat that the people are bringing it's not just becoming for adults. You know, families are saying we need to make change, and so they involve their kids in it.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. So I wanted to look into Anonymous a little bit, because I thought, this hasn't been around very long. I mean, the internet in general, the popularity, the how much we've used the internet hasn't been around very long. I mean, I remember back in '97 being at Fort Bragg and thinking, oh my God, my porn site's almost loaded. This is the coolest thing ever. I don't have to go and get a porn mag anymore. I can just sit in my house and download pics.
Probably it just picks the boobs. Probably it wasn't like anything.
No, there was
too graphic.
no video. Forget about it. To have it go from that to where I'm constantly getting tweets on my phone telling me, hey, if you didn't know this, dumbass, some shit's happening in Spain, and this shit's happening in London, and these 5 people just got arrested. And it's like, holy fuck. If you want to get a message out and you want it to go global, you were never able to do that before now.
I remember that Egypt, that's what they say helped start the revolution there, is that people were tweeting everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
didn't government have an internet kill switch in Egypt, and they shut it down after a while so people could not communicate?
I don't know. I thought that they actually found lots of ways around it, and that's why it was able to keep going, because the government did try to have that happen, and they couldn't stay up with it.
Well,
But I could be wrong. I'm not sure about that.
I could be wrong too. I just was throwing that out there.
So when I looked it up, the first kind of coming out of Anonymous was out in 2003. They kind of were throwing shit out there. And then they started pulling pranks back in 2008. So they haven't really been out there a long, long time. But in 2008, they started pulling pranks on Scientologists in the Church of Scientology.
Awesome.
So I wanted to read a little something. This is from Wikipedia. So I just wanted to let people see. Just it's amazing how there's no leader, there's no one person. It's all these people come together as a conglomerate, saying, "Do we generally hate this idea? What these people are doing? What those people are doing?" So. It's really pretty cool. Anonymous Collective became increasingly associated with the collaborative international hacktivists, and they call themselves Anons. Undertook protests and other actions in retaliation against anti-digital piracy, campaigns by motion pictures and recording industries, trade associations. Later targets of anonymous hacktivism included government agencies of the U.S., Israel, Tunisia, Uganda. They targeted child pornography sites. They targeted copyright protection agencies, the Westboro Baptist Church, corporations such as PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, Sony. To me, it's like some geek somewhere, some little guy saying, I don't have a voice. I can't do anything. And then they find other people, like-minded people, like the people in this room, and they come together and like, how can we do something besides going into government, which is gonna get stalled out, and we're not be able to get our voice out there, and we don't want to blow ourselves up to make a point. So how else can we make a point? And holy shit, the impact that this group has had, I think is really fucking cool. And the other thing is, when I brought this up to somebody yesterday, I was trying to like plant this little seed in people's heads about what was going on. Hey, I just saw this on my Twitter. Anonymous is doing all these protests around the world, and these people are like, who? You know, Anonymous, the guys that wear those Guy Fawkes masks, are like, oh, fuck them. Because I said they supported Occupy Wall Street. They just started. There were so many people that just kind of gave this disgusted look and sound. I thought, do you know what they're fighting for? You jackass. Do you not have any issues with the government? Do you not have any issues with any of that stuff?
I don't think they do. I mean, I think that they're just tuned into what's easy. You know what I mean?
The main media has a really good grip on what they're doing. They've been doing it for a long time and hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they associated Anonymous with Occupy Wall Street. Well, we know what some of the media has done to the Occupy movement. They just demonize them, make them think that they're just hipsters without jobs complaining about big government and big corporations. So some people are going to look at that, and if they see that connection, like, oh, well, they're probably just the same as Occupy Wall Street.
Right.
You know?
And while Occupy Wall Street, just a little reminder, this was 2 years ago when Occupy Wall Street was going on. But while that was going on, you had the whole Egyptian, what was it called? The
Green Revolution?
No, when they were getting up Mubarak.
Oh, when they
what was that kind of called?
Like a regime change?
Or it was like almost an impeachment.
Yeah, but I thought it was called something else. I thought it had like a weird kind of silly slogan. Not silly, I guess, but when that was in the media, when the people were rallying in Egypt and they were saying, "Hey, we want this dictator out of here. We're showing democracy. All these people are coming together, and we don't want who's in power. We want them out." And so you had the media here really supporting the people in Egypt, and at the exact same time, like within the same paragraph, they would flip over the cameras over to Occupy Wall Street, and then everybody go, "Oh,
drum circles.
Here's a bunch of fucking losers and wannabes and people just asking for a free handout, and they hate us."
You and I have talked about this because Newsroom did a great job of following Occupy Wall Street this last season on HBO.
You're right. Yep.
And they mocked it for some of the same things that you and I have made comments about in the past, how it seemed kind of goofy, that there was no one person who was kind of talking about what they were really doing it for, why they were doing it. They didn't have a spokesperson. And so I think sometimes when your message isn't centralized, I think sometimes it can get lost. And I think Anonymous is different in the sense that it's the mask, it's kind of the theme and the idea behind it all. I do think there are parts of Occupy Wall Street that kind of got convoluted. I understand still what the main idea was, but again, we didn't see anybody stepping up and saying, this is what we're about. And I think Newsroom made a big deal about that, saying, Where's somebody who's going to tell us what you want? What are your demands? What are your ideas? What do you guys want to follow? Like, some people were actively wanting to find out what those things were because made sense to me.
I don't think there was one specific pointed message that they had. I think it was just a lot of people who know something's wrong, who know something's messed up. They don't really know what it is. They have all different ideas about what the problem is, but they're mad as hell, and they were just kind of protesting, trying to make their voices heard. And I don't think they could have gotten everybody on board with one central complaint or idea of what the actual problem was.
Well, I guess I was thinking more of a person, and maybe that's not unfair. Maybe that was the whole idea behind Occupy Wall Street, is it wasn't just one person who had an idea. It was lots of people who had an idea that something is off. Well, but you could still have somebody that can kind of be the tip of the spear to kind of put your ideas out there, or be a voice for all the different things that they're concerned about.
The ideas were so diverse, though, out in there. If you watch a lot of the YouTube videos of people took of themselves and of other people taken of the protesters down there, some people were just straight up wanted total government control over the economy, communism. Some people thought that Washington was the problem and we need to get them out of the economy, and that's where the problems were created. So you had some people who took it from one extreme to the other, but they both knew something was inherently wrong. So I think it would be a divided movement if they were to try to centralize it.
I was going to say, how could you voice that when there's two different points? I guess I can see that.
There was more than two different points of view.
Well, I mean, just to give you an example, it's hard to get one night.
When you and I spoke about this before on a podcast that we did not air, we threw it away.
Was it that bad?
No, it was just that it didn't sound that great, but the discussion was wonderful. But something that really annoyed both of us was that, they didn't have a spokesperson. They weren't going about it the way that I would have wanted them to go about it. But when I was actively looking online and watching what was going on yesterday, my perception changed. And it was the fact that everybody had that mask on and everyone was just a fucking number. It wasn't, there's a hippie, there's a hippie, mass generalizations. It was just, everyone was a number. And it was probably the loudest kind of speech that you could put out there, the loudest kind of explosion that you could make and put in and shove in the face of these people that you have problems with. The government, who, if they're not doing what you want them to do, if they're not being active enough, if they're letting bullshit slide and they're letting their crony capitalism rule.
They don't have a voice, like you said.
All you have to do is look at the TV or walk out downtown Washington, D.C., and just the thousands of people that show up. You can't miss that.
And that's one cool thing.
You cannot miss that.
About the anonymous movement that went down yesterday. They were occupying, in my opinion, the right place, Washington, D.C. The Occupy movement, if they wanted to occupy the real enemies, the real people that make all this crony capitalism possible, they would have occupied the Capitol building, the White House, our nation's capital. They're the ones who give these bankers the bailout. They're the ones who force us to bail out the banks while people lose their homes through foreclosed mortgages. The rich people get bailed out while the average person loses their home. And that is a product of government forcing us to do that. But government in the Occupy movement a lot of times didn't really get held to account, and all the blame was being forced on the banks on Wall Street.
Right.
Right. I think their focus was on the wrong group of people.
Yeah.
I do like Anonymous because I think the anonymity that the mask gives you, I think you're going to have more people come out.
Yeah, it empowers people.
It empowers you. It's like, okay, well, I can. It's like this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We have a guys up because we're just a little bit nervous about, impacts on certain things happening for people.
Sure.
And so, myself particularly included. But I mean, that if I had a mask, and I mean, that's what this is. It's a mask that I can wear and be honest and upfront with my opinions because I'm so restrained outside of this room. And so I think those anonymous masks are the exact same thing. I can actually go out with other people and protest something and not be worried.
And you can be a number, and you can, and there's no way that you can be mistaken for doing anything else. You don't have to say a fucking word. You're another presence. If Occupy Wall Street, if everybody looked the same, or if everybody was wearing the same colored jacket, or if everybody was wearing whatever, so that they all looked the same, there was no way that you could misunderstand why that person was there. You walk through, or Anonymous, a huge group of people wearing a Guy Fawkes mask walk down the street, you fucking know they're trying to say something.
Right.
You know, there's a group, and that's what I thought was awesome. That's when the idea of, well, you're not saying anything. Where's your fucking leader? That's when that kind of got stripped away, and it was like, okay, we're at least, at the very least, we're going to shove in the face the people that make the decisions that look how many people are bothered by this.
Do we know how many people did show up?
Total?
Yeah,
It was around the world.
It was all over the world.
There was people
Gotcha.
in London getting arrested that had
Gotcha.
Guy Fawkes masks on. There was people in Tokyo. I mean, it was
everywhere.
It was nuts.
Very nice.
It was really, really neat. So if you wanted more information on this and you wanted to maybe be a little bit less judgmental and give Anonymous a chance to look at what they're actually doing or what they're standing up for, go to their Facebook page. Go to Anonymous's Facebook page. It's not that hard to find. So just check it out. I thought that was really cool.
And follow them on Twitter, because their Twitter feed's pretty constant. So
these are kind of current events.
That's
but
good.
again, we got Jared Demonized down.
I was
in
going to
here.
say, we better get to
we
our
gotta
guest.
be fucking talking to our
no
guest
hurry.
here a little bit.
I'm no hurry at all.
You look great. You walked in here, no
No limp.
no
at all.
limp.
No
All
gimp,
good.
no gimpiness.
Oh,
Glad.
because when a friend of mine went to the fights and he said, "I think your buddy got his ankle broke." And then when I saw you and you said that it was your knee
Yeah.
that was bothering you, and it was like your kneecap, and he felt like it got you moved it back into place,
Yeah,
and then
popped
it
back in. So after that, it has healed up every day, better and better. So I mean, I'm at a point where I'm not too worried about it.
it amazes us, anybody who can say, and this can be in any category. It's not just MMA fighters. It can be in any category. But the people who say, I'm not going to follow the normal track of life. I'm not going to get stuck into this rut job. I'm not going to go down this career. Oh my God, I just saw a 20-inch pygmy. Boom, I'm going down this path. You know what I mean? And they just don't care because that's their passion. That's what they want to do with their life. We thought, holy shit, that's got to be, to watch somebody do MMA, to put the time and the training and the effort and all that commitment into something.
And the
then-
risk. The
and
risk involved.
And then a split second, you could have your ankle busted or you could have your knee ripped out. And how much time does that take away from your training? And I mean, that's time away from your
Life.
well, yeah, your life. But I mean, once you get to a certain age, you know, things start falling off on a man. No, I don't know what that is. I mean, you have older MMA fighters like
maybe Randy Couture.
Thank
something
you.
like
That's
that.
exactly
Yeah.
who I was thinking of. Was Randy Couture, somebody like that who can actually stay with it and into his later years. But that ability does start to fall off later on. So it's so important to stay healthy right now. And so for you to say that you popped the kneecap back in and to watch you walk in without a limp, I was like, oh,
Thank goodness.
thank God. Yeah.
I think a big part of it, of course, being young helps to heal up quick. But I think the body can go as far as you push it. I mean, like you see, Brock is in really good shape. There's a lot of guys who are older are in very good shape here. You know what I mean? It all depends on how
You
far
all
you're
right
willing
over there,
to
Todd?
push it.
Yes, Rock
Rocky's over
is
here.
flexing, so I
Oh.
about spit my water all over my computer and him.
Rock is taking it all in.
Just checking if they're still there.
Oh, they're there. Don't worry.
We can see him. You're good to go, buddy.
All right.
I thought, well, if Rock shows up tonight, I better wear my tight shirt.
That's
I gotta
right.
wear my tight
Everybody
shirt
wear their
tonight.
extra small T-shirts.
I think my beater on. Hold on. I got beater into this.
Is that the only or worst injury you've had
During fighting, yeah.
during fighting? Okay.
Well, my eye got really messed up one time. That hurt more, I would say, but
Okay, but not as detrimental as probably that knee.
No.
Oof.
Good thing it was just a sprain.
yeah.
I mean, full recovery in 2 weeks?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
And that's with babying it, too. I mean, so it was good.
When's your next fight?
Hopefully it's going to be the end of February or early March because Bellator, they take a little bit of a break. So they told me yesterday that they are going to have a show in February.
Okay.
So hopefully on that.
Why do they take a break in the wintertime? I think you get people indoors to see it.
I have no idea.
Man, pack them in the freaking U.S.
that's just
Cellular
what-
Center.
I think
That's what they're telling me.
Bellator don't take many breaks at all because they have weekly shows,
Every
don't
week,
they?
yeah.
So they're
maybe
busy.
Maybe they're all over the place, though. That makes sense.
And do you know where it's going to be? Because I heard that they might be coming back to Cedar Rapids in March, February timeframe.
I have no idea.
That'd be awesome.
All I know is
Yeah.
that they want me on a card in near February. I hope the first card back. So,
Heck yeah,
Sweet.
dude. Be awesome.
but
Oh, that'd be
I'm
great.
sure if there's a card here, they're gonna wait for me to be on this one.
Indeed.
That'd be sweet. I know him. Oh my god. I
Then
know him.
maybe you guys can go.
Oh, I would love to go.
I would have loved.
I would love to
I
go.
totally wanted to go to the one that was here, except I was in California.
And I was at work.
Yeah. And I was
That's the hard
very drunk at the fights.
I've never seen one live, no matter at any level, and so I just love just
Coming
to
up.
go and just to see one. Period. Oh, there's
There's
one
one-
coming up, right?
Yeah, the
This month,
22nd.
yep.
Yep.
I'll probably be
Where
somewhere.
at?
Lonnie Scrittywood Scriven would be defending his title. Yes.
Local legend.
He's a local
Hiawatha.
legend. He is the Mr. 319 is what I call him.
Mr. 319.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
he
Area
is a
code
local legend.
319.
Oh, he's a local
It's
legend.
okay. 319. It's area code.
I got the area code.
Oh, okay.
I was just wondering why it was the area code. Does he have that tattooed on him? 319.
No.
You know what? That's not a bad idea.
Okay, when is this? When is that?
November
November
22nd in Hiawatha, actually.
I did see a
Yeah,
gentleman
I'm
at
working.
the Matt Games, the CrossFit Games in Des Moines this weekend, that had his gym's numbers tattooed on his side. And I thought,
His numbers.
like CrossFit names are like CrossFit 151 is in Marion and CrossFit
Okay.
2.2, and he had his numbers like tattooed, and I was like, and when he took his shirt off, the tattoo is in the exact same spot as where it was on the shirt.
Tramp stamp?
No, it was like right on his side. It just seemed kind of weird because his shirt was cool, and I could see the number. I could see the number on his side, and he took his shirt off, and I was like, then the tattoo was like in the exact same spot. So I don't know if it's his gym, he owns it, and so it's like a big commitment. I don't know. I was just surprised.
I would say any tattoo is a pretty big commitment.
Yeah, hey,
Yes,
tell
it
you
is.
what, it's pretty common in the MMA world to get your gym's logo tattooed on you. So a lot of guys from the local gym here in town, they got the tattoo.
I got one right here.
Boom, look at that.
That's right.
I drive.
Oh, very nice.
It's a brotherhood, so I mean, it's something that you will commit your life to.
Oh, exactly. Forever.
So 1:00 in the morning last night. I'm waiting for things to be working. So I'm like, all right, I gotta stay up. What's gonna keep my attention? So I got on hard drive. I might do it. I'm gonna do it. I think
Let's go some Saturday.
Jiu-jitsu?
I'm gonna do the jujitsu.
I mean, also,
I can't.
it's always fun.
I can only fit. There's only certain times that work with my schedule. I have to go, whatever's being taught at like 9:30. So it's
In the morning?
yeah, on my days off. So this would be 9:30 on my days off.
What class is at 9:30?
Beginner jujitsu.
Jiu-jitsu's for babies.
Yeah, jujitsu.
That's what I would be in. I would need that one bad.
That's it. And then they have, I think, kickboxing. What I really wanted to do was, I'm nervous about my knee, so I didn't know so much about the kickboxing with the twisting and the throwing with the kicks and stuff. I didn't want to mess up the knee.
Oh, yeah.
But I really enjoy the training of boxing, and I really enjoy wrestling. So I really wanted to learn jiu-jitsu and roll around.
It's fun.
It's really
and do
funny.
stuff like that, and be able to go to the open gym and just be another body. And
There's a lot of
learn
guys
stuff.
there who love to just do jiu-jitsu, come in and help out the fighters who are in need. I mean, that's always a big help to us.
Just
'Cause
to
you
have
always
even a fresh body.
A fresh guy there who ain't all worn down all the time. I mean, that's
So I could just
A
come
big
in and just
help.
lay on you. Like just,
Come on, fucker, fight.
I'm a human blanket. I'm a human blanket.
hey, it helps us.
Jesus.
It's just fun to come in on one, like you said, one of those open gym nights and just be around a bunch of dudes. We just hang out and have a good time and work out here and there.
Random pull-ups
Good
here
stuff,
and there,
yeah.
some grappling.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
It's really
Exactly.
fun.
Hit the
So-
bag for fun.
I mean, just an hour's worth of wrestling, an hour's worth of. I remember doing powerlifting back in 2001, and me and this other guy who he was not a professional powerlifter, but he was deadlifting like 750 pounds, not a small fella.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, and so one day I said, do you mind if we just lay off the weights for a day? Can we do something cardio? Because I was very used to cardio. I was not used to the powerlifting thing. So I said, let's do some cardio. He goes, well, what do you want to do? I go, well, I love boxing, and I got some boxing gloves. I brought in my bag today, and we were working out at the Gold's Gym in Corville.
Ah,
And in the basement of that, they have, it's all powerlifting stuff. I'm sorry, I should say half of the room is for powerlifting, and a huge stereo, and you can just crank it up, and people can grunt and scream and yell and spit, and nobody cares. Then the other half is the boxing ring with the heavy bags and the speed bags and all this stuff. And so Chad and I would be working out, and we'd be looking over, and these girls would just be destroying this fucking heavy bag, just fucking killing it. And so I thought, well, I'll bring in my gloves sometime. And so we did like 5 rounds, 5 1-minute rounds, and we didn't even hardly hit each other. We're just having our hands up and moving around and being tense because you're not used to doing it. I was fucking winded.
Oh, of course.
Just doing that. I wasn't even rolling around. I wasn't even throwing combinations. It wasn't like we were a constant flurry. And I was fucking dead, dude, after 5 minutes. 5 1-minute rounds, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's a different type of cardio. There's a lot of guys who try to tell me they want to get into shape and then come into the gym. So that I was telling them the only place to get into shape is at the gym to do this kind of stuff. It's like with me, when I go into a swimming pool, I may be in great shape and can do 5 rounds of fighting and stuff like that, but I do 5 laps and I'm winded.
Right.
It's a completely
Different muscle group.
Exactly.
Yep. Just like if you're great at tennis and then you go to play basketball.
Exactly.
Well, I hear that a lot too at the gym where I work out. They're like, oh, I didn't want to come in until I was in better shape to do CrossFit. And I was like, well, how else are you going to get in shape unless you come in and start doing something?
Make it happen.
Yeah, you just got to get in there and just be sore for a while and figure it out. But the more I've talked to Rock about getting my kids into that jiu-jitsu after school thing, I need to do something with them. They're driving me crazy. I'm going to go nuts.
There's an awesome class in there. Watching them do their class is like almost watching the adults do their class too. Like they run in a circle with each other. The kids help each other out. It's like a team.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty motivating watching. Because
That's cool.
when they first had begun, it wasn't like that. But now to see what they have grown into.
So it's got a bigger group than it was in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. It's
cool.
way different. Yeah, it's way different.
That's awesome.
I was listening to, obviously, my favorite podcast in the world besides this one. And Joe Rogan had the guy who owns 10th Planet, Jiu-Jitsu is, that's where Joe Rogan trains.
I don't know.
But it doesn't matter so much as the fact that he brought up this fact that he always uses a certain type of soap to fight off ringworm. And I mean, there's skin things that you have to worry about a little bit.
Diseases, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When you're wrestling around. When you're wrestling around with some sweaty guy, you have no idea where he's been. You know, he just shows up. You don't know his hygiene. But have you heard of any special soap?
I don't know what it's called. I have heard of it.
I wrote it down. It's not.
I just
That's
use
the one thing I didn't
antibacterial soap. But there is one that is up a ring room. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just thinking that who shall not be mentioned, was talking about rolling around people doing jiu-jitsu and how he can feel people who are white belts in his term of how if he gets them restrained for I have no idea what I'm talking about. Restrained somehow, he can feel them panicking and feel they're insecure and they don't know what's going on. And then you go to a blue belt and all of a sudden you can just feel people relax and they get into certain situations. They just know they have to mellow out and stuff like that. So I thought, what a neat, not only are you going to be cardiovascularly fit and learning things, but I think it's got to be a mental thing too. You talked about that the last time we talked to you was the idea of calming yourself down. Does that have to do with adrenaline in your body? Does it just help keep yourself together, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think adrenaline is gonna always wear you out more, especially if you are training because you're gonna be training for a long period of time. If you're gonna be in there freaking out, then you're gonna be getting worn out pretty fast. And like he said, you can go with a person and feel if they're really tight. You know this ain't gonna last very long.
Right.
You know they're gonna get wind, and you have to relax with it. But I think that's something everybody goes through. When I first started, I was a tweaker, and I used to freak out. So it's something I'll let you learn and get more comfortable with. I haven't have it all the way figured out yet. Even I mean,
really, how do you feel? Do you feel like are you still one of those kind of just beginning with your jiu-jitsu, and so you or just learn little things from?
I'm with Jared. When I first started doing jiu-jitsu, I was a tweaker too. I thought, I'm a big, strong guy. I'll go in there and just muscle people around. If somebody puts me in a triangle, I'll just pick them up and slam them. Right. And you find out that you get tired very quickly when you do that. And you can be the biggest, strongest guy in the world, but if you can't breathe and you're tired and you're not giving your muscle the oxygen that you need to continue, It don't matter. You're done.
In jiu-jitsu, a smaller dude can take care of a bigger dude.
Right.
Hey, right?
Like Keone is, what?
160.
60 pounds, 50 pounds, 60 pounds smaller than me. And even like recently when I've rolled, gone some jiu-jitsu rounds with him, we'll go 10-minute rounds and I'll never submit him, but he'll get me once or twice, because he's that damn good at jiu-jitsu, been doing it for 15 years. But I'm to the point now, I don't do it on a regular basis like I used to, but I understand not to tweak out, know when to pick your spots to exert your most energy, and then when to relax and just chill out.
Coast.
You'll see that in fights too. You'll see these professional fighters get in situations that look like it's panic mode time. Steve Carl's a great example. He just had a championship fight with the World Series of Fighting. He got put in a mounted guillotine. It looked bad.
It looked horrible.
It looked real bad.
It looked really bad.
But you know what? In my head, I was thinking, Steve's a professional. He's got 24, 25 fights under his belt, been doing it forever. It looked really bad, but you know what? In his head, he was chilling. You could tell he was chilling, and he knew all he had to do was to adjust his head a certain way, and that would release the pressure off his jugular. And
you could see how easy it would be to panic.
Right.
I mean, just like almost like a normal human reaction.
You can't breathe.
Yeah, Jesus, what the hell's happening to me? But if you have the time put in, then you're going to be able to sit back and go, okay, I've been in this situation before.
Yep.
I know what to do. Just relax. And I would imagine that state wrestlers and people who do wrestling for high school and college are in similar. They don't panic so much.
It's different in wrestling, like amateur wrestling, because they deter putting people in situations that are potentially dangerous.
Right.
The whole point of MMA is to put people in dangerous situations.
Right.
So
an armbar, make them a freak out.
Yeah, there's very small worries of getting injured in amateur wrestling. But, as Jared can attest to, you can get seriously injured
right
in MMA because that's the point. You're in there, and it's time. You are basically in a cage, and when the referee says go, your goal is to kill that guy. And the referee, there's obviously safety mechanisms put in place to make the fight stop before that happens. But your mentality is kill that guy. And the two aren't the best compared.
Whether that's mentally you've beaten, because Keone was saying that he had a fighter that was gonna go fight, and he had told him, you'll see it when you weigh in. When you do the weigh in, you'll see it in the guy's face if he's ready to do it or not. And he's like, "Hey, coach, I saw it tonight. I saw it today, or whatever."
Yeah, I do remember that conversation.
And the guy wouldn't fight him.
That's right. He didn't even fight him at all. That's
right. Jordan Sanford, I think.
It totally. Yeah, it was. You're right. It totally broke the other fighter. So whether it's physical, whether it's an armbar, whether it's knocking the guy out, or mentally,
before you even walk in there,
stopped that other person, because that's what it's all about. Imposing your will on somebody else, and if that will is, I haven't even touched you, and I've beaten you.
Right.
Okay, Yoda, you just fucking Jedi mind trick the fuck out of me.
That's the main thing. If you are broken in your mind, you're not going to win that fight. There's very rare cases where you would win a fight if your mind's broken. There's people that who used to be afraid of fights. Carl, he was a little bit nervous before fights, but not afraid to fight. He was nervous going to the fight, but it was like not exactly, but when you back up a raccoon, he's gonna be scared, but you lock him in a cage and he's gonna come after you.
Right.
So there's two ways it goes.
Is that kind of a normal kind of thing, though? Was it more fear, or just nerves before you start a fight? Is it normal kind of nerves, or do you walk in most of the time just, I'm ready to go. I know what I needed to do, and I'm not afraid of this person, so I'm ready to go? Or do you always have a little bit of butterflies?
There's a little bit, I guess, there. When you watch guys backstage, you will see it in people that when they're really nervous or not, or if they're ready or not. But I think that everybody, they're going to get a little bit of nerves. They're about to get locked in a cage. There's going to be some nerves there,
That's a good way to put it.
Anytime you get locked in a cage, you get a little nervous.
I can just see the gate closing and me going, changed my mind.
I tell you what,
you can climb over this fence, right?
I have cornered 2 MMA fighters in my cornering career. Jared Demonized Downing, the guest here, He's one of them. Steve Carl was the other, and it was actually in Las Vegas for World Series of Fighting 5 or 4, one of the two. And I got to tell you, I'd never seen a guy more calm before having to enter a cage to fight another man. We were standing in the entryway. His music was about ready to get played, and we were about to walk out to the cage. And just for shits and giggles, Steve was like, "Hey, Rock, set your timer for 30 seconds." So I did, and he took his pulse, and his pulse rate was at like 62. Just chilling. You know what I mean? He did not care, and it showed. He went out there and he choked that guy out in about a minute. And if you just looked at him in the cage, he looked like he just was there to fight. Didn't look mad. Didn't look like, oh, I'm gonna go out there and beat the shit out of this guy. Just out there chilling. This is my job. This is what I do. I'm gonna fight this guy, and make it happen.
That goes right there to show his experience that he's been through. Now he's one of the most experienced fighters I know. He's been all over the place and trained with all different types of people. He has learned that he's a beast and came out knowing when he goes out there and fights, he's who he is.
So that calmness has turned back into just confidence.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think that's a big thing. Is your confidence?
Sure, and if you stay calm and you approach things in a calm, thoughtful way, and you know what you're doing, and then hopefully that just keeps expanding on itself, and you become confident in who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, and watching sports my whole life, or being around sports, or being around wrestling, and watching Ultimate Fighter and UFC and MMA, you see so many different faces of fighters. And as somebody who's watching it, and you're trying to figure out, well, is that person freaking out and acting like a dumbass because he's trying to intimidate, or is he doing that because he is scared as fuck?
He's trying to motivate himself,
motivate himself. Or you see those fights you see fights sometimes where two guys come into the cage, and one guy looks like how you described, like, I'm just gonna read a book. I'm really I'm looking forward to dinner tonight and maybe having sex. It doesn't look like their mind is on, get ready, you got to go fucking balls to the walls, you got to hit the nitrous button in about 10 seconds. They don't have that look on their face, and you're wondering, have they given up? I mean, there's so many facets when you're looking at somebody, and from somebody who's just watching it from outside the ring, you wonder all the time, has that person given up, or is that guy really fucking confident?
And that's why I guess I have, in my limited amount of seeing some of these fights, there's some of those guys that you see, and they just look really intense, and they look really serious, and it just scares the shit out of me. I couldn't imagine being in there because they're not jumping around acting crazy, but they're not super calm and quiet like you were talking about. But they have an intensity about them that, like you said, I'm ready to kill this guy. So I'm just gonna, when they ring the bell, I mean, it looks scary. Like they're like, the bull inside the cage, just waiting for the gate to go open so they can go crazy. And that would probably scare me more than I think the real calm, laid back guy. The person with some intensity. You don't have to be jumping around and freaking out. But
who was the guy from WWE? Who recently went back to the WWE? That was
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Now somebody like Brock Lesnar would honestly, that would be. There's so many people that totally and utterly destroy me, but that guy was like my biggest fear. If I had to ever get into the ring with somebody, it would be somebody who is so large that you can't get away from them. Once they're on you, it's like, how the fuck do I get you off of me?
Punch him in the face, he might freak out.
And that's exactly what we found out about Brock Lesnar too.
Exactly.
Once he got punched in the face, because I don't think he got punched in the face until like his 4th or 5th fight. And once he did, oh man, he went in the fetal position.
Yeah, he freaked out.
Yeah.
But give him a little bit of credit. He got thrown into the fire against top level professionals. His first fight was a champion fight, right? Almost.
I think he fought Heath Herring first in the UFC, but then he fought Couture shortly after that. Frank Mir. I take that back. And Frank
Mir was a
former UFC champion, heavyweight. Great jiu-jitsu guy,
he got thrown in there with the best in the world. That's going to put a little bit of pressure on
I tell you what, the second time he fought Frank Mir, because they did fight twice, he got beat the first time, I think, with a heel hook.
Yeah.
And then up until that point, Brock was winning the fight. But his inexperience showed at that moment. But the second fight, I've never seen somebody get bullied before any more than I've ever seen in that fight. Brock Lesnar literally was laid on top of Frank Mir, and if you ever watch this fight, you'll see this. And he just pins his arms down with one arm and just punches him in the face repeatedly. Like, I'm going to put your arms here, hold them down. You can't do anything about it, and I'm just going to do this to you. Punch you right in the face over and over again.
Now, I don't punch my children in the face, but I do that. I pin their arms with one arm.
Yeah.
And then I'll tickle the shit out of them. While they're crying.
That's what he did. That's what he did to a 250-pound man. Professional fighter, former champion.
A former champion.
Pinned his arms down, and in Brock Lesnar's ground and pound, like his punches were sized up. I mean, they were tough fucking punches to the face.
Well, he's got huge fucking hands. I mean, he's just an enormous dude.
Well, a lot of times you see ground and pound, it's like it's a lot of tip tap, just to gain points. His were just devastating blows from side control.
How did that fight end?
To the ball.
They stopped it. Yeah, the ref ended up stopping it because Frank's face was just messed up and he wasn't able to defend himself because his arms were pinned down. He couldn't do shit.
He's a big boy. Yeah.
Fuck. See, and that would be my biggest fear is that somebody that large cornering me to the point where I don't have room to move. I don't have the skills. I don't have the jiu-jitsu. Even if I did have the jiu-jitsu, would I be able to counter the fact that this guy weighs so much more than me? And he just smothers me to where I can't do nothing, and then he just pounds my face in a hamburger.
I'm glad that we have our weight classes in that fact.
To be honest, though, like in a real fight, there's no rules. So, I mean, anything goes. You can go for eyes. You can go for nuts. I mean, there's weak spots on man.
If I have a big guy like that on me, hey, anything goes.
Yeah, no shit. Exactly.
If I have him on top of me, Brock Lesnar, anything goes at that point.
Right. A guy will get off you if you start gouging your thumb into their eye sockets.
You know what I mean? Grab their nutsack.
Yeah, exactly.
Too.
They will succumb to whatever you want.
What if he grabs you though? I socket pretty bad too.
That's true, but I'm just saying.
That's why I'm
the little man
runner.
has those.
Exactly.
That's why I'm a really good runner.
That's why I work on my cardio. Yeah.
Rule number 1: it's very underrated, but cardio is very important. Yes, extremely important.
Oh yeah, people. You always hear about people training at high altitudes. You hear about. I remember being a wrestler and having fresh people come in on me when I was tired, and I got to this point. I'll never forget getting to a point to where I was hysterical because I'm so fucking winded, and I just felt like it was never going to end. I mean, and
probably hot as fuck too.
And rationally, it's going to end. Everyone knows it's going to end, but when it's happening to you, and you're just like, "Fuck!" That type of training to where you're confident, to where you can calm down. Oh, it would be almost a nirvana for a high school wrestler to achieve that type of feeling. Because that anxiety, that fuck, and you're trying to move and squirm and scramble.
That's that adrenaline.
Adrenaline's going, yeah.
You almost can't have that feeling in high school wrestling because things are so fast and the periods are so quick, and you can't get turned, and the points are so easy to accumulate that you're almost in panic mode the whole time unless you're just playing with the other person. If you're just playing with the other person is so bad and you're so good, you're just like, I can impose my will on them. Then you could probably be calm about it.
And the only thing I ever experienced like that is football. We used to have that. I forget the drill they have, but they put one guy in the middle and put the whole team around him in a circle, and he just calls out numbers, and they just run in and crack the guy in the middle. I remember being in Pop Warner in California and just hating that because I used to get my bell rung all the time. And then by the time I got to high school, I felt better about my ability just to, wherever they were coming from, square myself up so the impact wasn't quite so bad. And I remember that, I think I had it I can remember a handful of times being, okay, I know I'm going to get hit. I just need to make sure I square myself up. I'm not going to get hurt that bad. And just feeling really, really calm. But I remember being younger and the anxiety almost made the impact of somebody hitting you 10 times worse. And I would have to imagine that wrestling is probably the same way.
Did you hear that recently they're coming out saying that kids in high school football are receiving more dramatic concussions and brain trauma than football players in college?
Really?
And they don't really know exactly why it is, but one of the theories is the kids in high school. So he's much more willing to report it. So if you're a college player and you want to have a future, you're like, I'm not telling no one.
Because they do look at how many concussions you've had when you go to the NFL.
Yeah.
Right. So are these athletes in college hiding that fact, or is it because the high school football players are not talented enough and they're just slamming their bodies into one another and they're not positioning their heads correctly? Is it?
I wonder if their brains are more susceptible because they're still growing. Still developing brain.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a huge part of it.
Yeah, it's just one more thing for me to say. No, my kids aren't playing
Sorry,
football.
guys.
We'll watch it. We'll enjoy the shit out of it.
Well, and I think my dad said, you're gonna let them do jiu-jitsu, but you're not gonna play football? I'm like, they're not gonna get their heads bashed in when they're doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's cardiovascular. It's fun. It's team building. It's all kinds of aspects we want our kids to have when it comes to the social activation in sports. But it's low impact. But it's also tough.
And with kids, they're not going for heel hooks, trying to rip each other's heels and offs like that. So it's not like there's almost no injury in grappling, not early on.
Right.
And it was Eddie Bravo who was talking to Joe Rogan, and he said when he got into jiu-jitsu, he said, "You know what? I love UFC. I want to be a part of this somehow. This thing that they're doing because it's so neat. But I hate getting fucking hit in the face. I don't want to get kicked in the face. I don't want to get hit in the face.
Ugh.
So how could I still be a part of this and not get my face mauled?
Coach.
Jiu-jitsu." He's like, "I love it. I never had to worry about getting hit in the face or kicked in the face. That's not happening. I'm just learning all these different things. And yes, I can choke people out." So how great is that? You are still learning this really cool defensive. It's almost like little fucking ninjas walking around our society all over the place. You don't even know who's a goddamn ninja anymore because they're not wearing the black suits. You're just like, oh shit.
What's the
I
difference
wonder if that guy's training
grappling
Cauliflower
and jiu-jitsu?
ear.
Same
They
thing.
watch for the cauliflower.
It is the same thing? Okay.
Well, jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu and grappling, similar.
I think
Yeah,
like
it's the same.
formal jiu-jitsu, you might have to wear a gi or something like that, but I don't know if they call that
There's a
grappling.
gi,
Yeah.
jits, and then there's jits.
But yeah, same thing, yeah.
So if I come to one of the classes, do I have to wear those little clinging underwear? Or can I
No, you
just
wear
regular?
whatever you want.
I'm
Don't wear
I'm sorry.
underwear.
I'm being
You know
sarcastic.
what?
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
I don't mean. I'm just
go to CrossFit.
I'm just
I'm
teasing.
gonna go to your CrossFit, and I'm gonna make fun of the. Well, no, I'm not.
You don't
gonna,
go to their gym.
I'm not gonna make fun of the girls in the bun hugger.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
because they're hot. Woo!
CrossFit chicks are pretty hot.
Yeah, but their long, really tall socks are kind of ridiculous.
I got to be honest though, the CrossFit chicks who are like in like the RX or the medium kind of upper level are really good, or body wise. You get to like the elites, all the elite women that were at this Mac Games in Des Moines this weekend.
Too ripped.
Yeah,
Yep.
just a little too manly,
few.
and I
What
hate
is
to,
wrong with?
and I hate to
do
be.
you agree with this?
I do.
I don't need a woman to have a six pack and guns. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, you know.
I don't like that.
It's just for me. It's just a little too masculine. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
it
That's
is.
all it is. I mean, they're obviously in great shape and they have great asses, but it's just a little.
asses is where.
Don't get me wrong, I'll still do 'em.
They're nice asses.
There you go.
but
Jared and I are ass men. Good to know.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to turn them down.
You would
but
turn
I would,
anybody down.
Well, I would, you know.
Very few. Very few
Yeah,
select
there's a
women.
short list. But I would prefer, them not to be totally ripped out like that. And
I'm not gonna date
the
'em.
medium, intense people that you're talking about,
Yeah.
I find more attractive too.
Yeah, and they're in good shape. They just have
Yeah.
a little bit more body fat on them, which makes them look to me almost
Womanly.
womanly
Yeah.
and normal.
I
just a little more
don't
normal.
need a lady to walk up to me and be like, "Hey, you want to go? You want to date?" I don't need a woman to come up to me
You
like
want to go
that.
bench?
I'll rock your world.
What do you bench?
Yeah, exactly. I don't need that.
So I don't need that. But if I see a photograph of, I think you showed me a photograph somewhere of like 5 CrossFit ladies running, and they all had 6-packs, and I was like, boing. All right, I'm there. I'm there right now. I'm ready.
Well,
to
then there's
go.
some girls like Christmas
So
Abbott.
fucking
She's
hot.
a really getting more famous CrossFitter. She's pretty lean. But like Camille, I forget her last name, but she's a pretty popular CrossFitter, and she's got a beautiful. I think she's from Portugal or Spain. So she's just gorgeous. And you pan back, and it's like, whew, she's really manly. She's tough and she's strong and she's a badass in her sport. But it's just like, okie dokie. All right.
Cyborgs like that.
Yeah, Cyborg is like that.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, I don't know. Is that a man or dude?
Besides this, it's just like,
Dude or girl?
Yep.
yeah. Now, how about, but like, well, Rousey would be a good example. To me, she still has
She's
some
sexy.
curves. Yeah, she's attractive.
But you know what? When I heard her talk, I was like, oh.
Hey, what?
I was like, is that Sly? If I were to shut my eyes, I would picture Sly Stallone.
Oh,
there you
I just
go.
heard her talk.
I'm not
She's pretty bad.
No, I'm not kidding.
She's not
ya.
that bad.
If somebody didn't say, "Hey, here's Ronda Rousey," if nobody told me it was a girl, and if nobody told me who it was, and I didn't have a picture of her on the video screen, and all of a sudden I was just hearing this voice, I would think, probably not the most attractive girl in the whole world.
Why do people hate on her so much? What is it about her people don't like?
Because people just hate successful.
Is that what it
people,
is?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I always
They
think
don't like
she's-
a woman who
she's
could kick your ass. Is that
I always thought she was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Her interview with Joe Rogan was fantastic that he had on his podcast. I thought that she did a good job on all the interviews we saw before that title fight. I thought she did a good job on those
It's not
too.
that I don't think she did a good job. It's just I wasn't my expectations.
No.
I
Her
saw
voice.
her. I saw her, and I thought, oh fuck, she's sexy. She's really beautiful lady. And
Hey,
then and then she opened her mouth, and I was like, okay, that was not what I was expecting. I was not expecting 5 octaves lower than my minimum.
Fuck me, Matt. That doesn't sound as good as that doesn't sound as good as
Come on.
I love you, man.
Come
You
on,
got about
man.
5 seconds before I throw you in an armbar. What? You better fuck me. What?
Rock my world, Matt.
All right. And I just got to throw in like 5 Viagra real quick. I'll be right there.
5 of them.
I don't want to
I thought I
disappoint. I don't want to disappoint.
Was it Keone who said that he thought she was kind of being shitty? That he didn't really care for her very much?
think-
it might have been him. I'm not sure though.
I don't know if he said that the night we had him on for a podcast, but I know that she did say some things about GSP and like some of the other top level guys before she like actually became a big deal, and I think that rubbed some fans the wrong way.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's why some people have a negative impression of her.
I just like the outfit she wears on The Ultimate Fighter.
Okay, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen
Torn
it.
jean shorts.
I'm
and
actually
shit.
going
It's
to
like,
go back and
jeez
watch that
Louise.
whole
Oh,
season.
she's a coach. Yeah.
She's a coach.
I forgot
Oh,
about that.
God.
Yeah, coaching a bunch of dudes.
And then she puts on
What are they
the
thinking?
one piece black suit or the 2-piece long sleeve black suit and puts her hair up and like curls. You're just like, fuck, these guys are awesome. I get to roll around with her for hours. And
Well,
Make it for a good night.
I tell you what.
sorry for your breasts. I mean,
what?
you gotta reach around and grab them sometimes, right, people?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I really doubt you're going to get her back, and you're like, oh, this is the move. Hold on.
How much? I don't know. I'm sorry, but if you're
Are you submitting it?
I'll
This
give
is
her a
called Tune in
triangle.
Tokyo.
if you're
I'll give her the a triangle.
I
yeah,
really
exactly.
think that's
If you're a man and you are actively training to be a fighter, how much benefit do you get out of grappling with a woman, even if she's the best woman in the world?
Well, here's the thing. Eddie Bravo talked about this a little bit because he had Duncan Trussell. Duncan Trussell came in and was taking some jiu-jitsu classes, right? Well, he just...
That sounds funny all by itself.
Yeah, it does. A comedian. Anyway, when you see Duncan Trussell, you're like, oh. But Eddie Bravo threw a female jiu-jitsu person in there, and she was really good.
Sure.
She was way above him.
Sure.
She was way above Duncan, and it just demoralized him. And that might be actually a good key thing to knock your ego down a little bit and be like, you know what? Maybe I don't know everything. Maybe I can't just throw my muscle
don't know.
around. Maybe I got to be smarter than where I'm at right now. I got a lot to learn.
But what he was saying was a professional male, maybe a person who's on
Yeah,
this
not
level.
Joe Schmo off the street. Talking to
Yeah.
somebody who's actually actively
Somebody
training.
who's
Training
like
all
that
the
TV
time.
show,
Yeah.
like
Right.
The Ultimate Fighter.
But
Yeah.
if you have somebody that's on that show, they are pretty fucking good just to even
Right.
be on that show.
Right, exactly.
But if she is showing, if she's schooling people,
Is she?
is
Like-
she? I don't know. I'm not watching it.
Oh, she's just rolling around and doing holds and stuff. I don't think she's actively fighting them as sparring partners, that kind of thing.
I've had conversations with people who've told me that, oh, dude, she'd be able to armbar you. I'm like, no. I would bet everything I own that she would not be able to armbar
Unless you're
me.
tired.
Unless I was totally gassed and like I just got done sprinting 400 yards or something like that. Then a little kid
He
could
has
take
no
me.
respect for the
Ronda
women.
Rousey,
No,
just
is
so
it-
you know, if you're hearing this podcast,
There's a difference.
Brock says you will not armbar him.
There's a physical difference between men and women. Okay, this is a fact.
A big physical
Okay.
difference.
but Keone's not a big guy. He's not a big guy.
But he's a man.
But he's
But he is a man.
And
I'm not going to take
and
away
he's
from
strong.
him.
And he's strong.
And he's really good at what he does.
Indeed, he is.
and he can submit you.
I'm throwing it out there to any female jiu-jitsu artist in the world. If you want to try to submit me, you go ahead, but it ain't gonna happen.
Okay,
guaranteed.
Listen, we are gonna set this up. I want to.
I can't wait for some lady to come in and choke you out.
No, bring it on.
funny.
Bring it on. I will bet whatever. Like
now, ladies,
Guaranteed.
out there in the world,
Bet you're safe.
I'll give you an arm. I'll start in an armbarred position.
Oh.
I will start
you
like
better
that.
be careful. Be careful what you were asking for.
No, I'm not. I am careful. That is careful, in my opinion. That's not even a big deal.
Because we do have some downloads in Japan.
I was gonna say.
You never know where this is going to be coming from. And we have some downloads in California, which I'm still waiting for somebody to challenge me to come to their city. I'm still waiting for that.
God, that'd be.
That was the very first
great.
podcast. Challenge me. Bring me to your city.
Challenge on what?
Well, because I said, hold on. Let me finish it. I'm going to get on that.
Gotcha.
And I'll get. So for those of you ladies out there in podcast land listening to this, now just so I can paint a picture for you of Rock. Okay, he's not a little fella. He's what, 6'1", 6'2"?
6'1", about 205 pounds, and there's not a shred of fat on me. And I'm very athletic. I got cardio that can go for hours, and I got a little bit of jiu-jitsu training.
Is this Match.com?
So I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
You're pretty close to it.
I'm very athletic, and I understand jiu-jitsu, and I've been doing it off and on for a very long time. And to say, like, give me the best woman in the world.
I would love to watch this.
God, wouldn't that be great?
God, I would love to watch this.
I would just chill the whole time. Like, dude, go ahead. You ain't gonna do that.
God.
You would love to see this too, wouldn't you?
I would love to watch
Oh,
it.
Yeah.
God.
I have to attend to agree with him. I think that he's right about it.
The same goes for you. You think Ronda Rousey can put you in an armbar
I
and
don't
make you
think
tap?
I'm gonna be able to physically stop her from putting me in an armbar.
Like, I'll start an armbar. Go ahead, take it.
Now,
ding, ding, ding.
If you're
I'll get
tired,
out.
worn out, and trying to go with her, if she's able to go with you for a long time and wear you out, then I don't know. But
How much?
that's a big if.
But think about this: how much can a 135-pound woman wear out somebody?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And my wife-
she's gonna get worn out.
My wife doesn't weigh that much, and she wears me the fuck out.
Well, go some jiu-jitsu rounds with her. See how
Why?
it goes.
Sorry, honey.
That's true. That's a fact.
And I'm not trying to be
That's a
sexist.
fact.
I'm not trying to be
No, you're not
sexist
trying
at
to be
all.
sexist.
I'm just saying how it is.
How powerful is a woman? Like, I mean, I don't know.
You know what? I don't know. And
Now-
I'm not going to throw out any judgments. I want to see this go down. So please contact us at primalscream.org. Comment, throw me an email at Matt and the Primal Scream with Matt and Todd at gmail.com.
All spelled out.
Just spell it all.
Yeah,
out. Just
the Primal Scream with
comment
Matt
to
and
this,
Todd
and
at
we will
Gmail.
set something up with you and Rock.
Yeah.
Because I want to see. I really like Rock. I think Rock's a hell of a good guy.
And you know, I will not go for any submissions. I'll just defend the ones you attempt to put on me.
I wonder.
Sure,
I bet you. I bet you. I
This
bet
is an
you.
attempt
I would love to
Keone would
be.
probably allow us to do it at Hard Drive.
Oh,
Making
for
a
sure.
spectacle event out of it.
for sure. We have the mats
And
for it.
and
Don't worry.
if Rock wins, you have to go on one date with him.
Just one.
Just one.
Just one.
That's all it takes is one date.
And he's not an ugly fella.
I don't know.
It's not like he got beat in the face with a bat.
No, never.
Just a couple branches on the way down.
Yeah. And he loves kids.
No, we got to see a picture before
He's
we
a great
agree
teacher
to this.
too. He's a great teacher.
And he's great. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, I teach kids how to do jiu-jitsu. That's what I do. But I tell you what,
Instructor. I think they call those
Oh,
instructors.
my bad.
instructors.
There you go.
We got it all taken
All
care
right.
of.
Hey, all right.
So what was? You said I'm going to come back to that.
I
Oh,
totally
the city
forgot.
thing. The
the
city
city.
challenge. In the very first podcast, we were talking about Labor Day, and we got on into talking about all these different stuff. And Todd was talking about St. Louis is so great and Chicago is so wonderful. And me personally, I always take those opportunities when Todd is going overboard. Whenever I think that you could say, "Hey, those shoes are pretty dope. I like those shoes that you got on there." Todd, on the other hand, might say, "Those are the fucking coolest shoes I've ever fucking seen.
I think I've been.
They are
I think I'm much better
cool.
since the first podcast.
They are
That's just
so
me, though.
cool." I know, but that's just him. I've known this guy for a long time. Long fucking time.
He
Long
overboards
time.
things.
Yeah, since like 96.
Something like
I've known you. Okay, so when he was talking about St. Louis and all these cities back in the day that were very important to developing the country, right? They were the keystones. I basically just came out and said, you know what? What's so fucking great about that city? I don't see it. I don't see anything really great about any city anymore because I don't have enough money. My claim is I don't have enough money or time to say I'm going to go spend 2 weeks in a city I've never been in before, and I'm just going to be chill for 2 weeks, and I'm going to go to places that are off the map, right? I only have enough money and time to go to a city like New Orleans. And where am I going to go in New Orleans? Bourbon Street. I will hit the main attractions. And if I don't have a lot of time, if you're going into a city and you only have 1 day to be there, and you're going to stay at a hotel, and you're probably going to eat at a restaurant, and that restaurant is probably going to be a chain.
Yeah.
It probably, I mean, the likelihood of you spending your time at a chain, whether it's a shopping mall, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a movie theater, whether it's a hotel, it's a chain. And when every city has the same fucking sites or the same chains, I could go to St. Louis and I'm going to go to the same stores and I have no idea what's cool about your city. You might have a really awesome bar. You might have a really awesome nightlife. I have no fucking clue because I'm out of here in 2 days. I have $300 and I don't have time for this shit because I don't have the time to invest and I don't have the money to invest.
And I want to put a plug in for the Food Network because I watched a show with my son the other night it was called like Burger Joints, or I forget what the name was, but it's like
Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Oh, I've seen that one too, but this is not the same one. But It was the best burger joints in America, and it has like the top 10. And so pretty much one was in every major city in the United States. And I thought that's what I would do is before I go somewhere, you just you Google it and see unique things in this area, and go do that. You know, it's like you said, instead of doing the chains. And the reason why this came up when I was thinking of watching this show. I have to go down to San Antonio, Texas to watch Junior graduate from boot camp in November. I have to be down there for 7 days. I can't afford a hotel room for $100 a night for 7 days.
Hostel, baby.
So I typed in hostel. Nothing came up. There's these like flea dive hotels for like still $55 a night. And I was like, this got to be something better. So I found this place called Airbnb online. And so people rent out rooms. Did I talk about this on the last podcast? I might have. Anyways, I got this room from this little old lady, right? Private room, private bathroom, free cable, free Wi-Fi, my own entrance to the room, right? $20 a night.
She's going to be wearing your skin on a Sunday.
She very well could be for $20 a night. But $120 for the entire week, my first thought was, yeah, I don't have a hotel. Yeah, I don't have a pool. But you know what? I'm going to be staying in a residential area of San Antonio that I probably would have never, ever seen. I already found a CrossFit box that's nearby, so I can go there in some of the mornings I'm there. And so I might have a chance to see parts of San Antonio that I wouldn't see otherwise. And then I went on Airbnb with some people at work.
The Laughlin, you down there? Is that the name of the Air Force base?
Laughlin,
okay.
Yeah. And so it said 130 or 192 countries, something 100,000 cities or something like that, right? And so I just typed in New York City. The first one that popped up was this guy who he and his mom have an art studio right across the river from downtown New York, right? Right across the river. And he had taken the front part of his mom's art studio and made a little teeny apartment. So it's got a bed, a kitchenette, and a bathroom. That's all it's got. But you can look from the balcony of this little art studio directly across the river and see the skyscrapers. So it's within a taxi drive to get to New York City, $35 a night. And so you're going to be staying in a studio somewhere. He talked about farmers markets being, it sounds like a very trendy, hipster kind of area.
Trendy.
So hashtag trendy, hashtag awesome. And so
hashtag Tony 2012.
Did you share with him any of my hashtags?
No, I didn't. Anyways, this is related to what you're talking about. So you might be able to actually save money staying somewhere. You're right, as long as you're not planning on taking your skin off your body, you're going to be able to stay somewhere pretty awesome, super cheap. You probably wouldn't get to know the people who were there and say, hey, can you point me in the right directions? You're from New York. Oh yeah, go here and see this or do this. You'd save money and you'd be in something. And so this place is awesome. I mean, you can go to there's Sweden, $52 a night, and it's a little teeny apartment in the backyard of this lady's house by her pool. It's like her pool house that she rents out for $30 a night in Sweden, in Stockholm. You can't find anything like that. It's just crazy.
You know what? That's the chance that you can
I might be looking this up.
Indeed.
Airbnb.
See, that's the chance though that you can do because you're going by yourself. If I involve,
you're right.
If I involve my wife, no, that shit ain't happening. Because I want to make sure that she has a great vacation. Because we didn't even go anywhere on our 10-year anniversary. Nowhere. Because we were thinking about.
Good job. Good job, man.
Yeah. Fuck that up. Anyway. But no, because if we went anywhere, we'd had to put it on a charge card. We would have been thinking about how much money it would have been. We would have been thinking about immediately, before we even left, how we're paying this off. When we get home, this is what we had to go through to pay this off. So you can't really even go on vacation as a middle-class income person in America and not... You just can't go... I can't. Maybe some people can. I can't go someplace and relax if I haven't paid for it already.
Right.
Because I'm already thinking about, fuck, debt. I got to pay this shit off when I get back.
That's the American way.
That's overtime.
Well, but that's also why I thought this. That's why I also thought it'd be a good thing to have, because I was like, okay, so it's a way around. Because I mean, if you go somewhere, it's plane tickets, it's cars, it's places to stay. So if you can cut out one of those three, or cut out two of those three, so if I got a really great plane ticket and I also found a place super cheap to stay at, so I dropped $300 or $200 on a car. That's the least of my expenses because I did such a great job of saving money in other places. I guarantee you, my wife, if I got a place to stay in New York City, no matter where it was, and I got it for I shouldn't say that. Can't be a piece of shit. But if I found a place that was decently priced and it was presented like it was in this situation, which seemed really legit to me, I think she'd be more than happy to do that, knowing we had a place to stay. We're right across the bridge from the city itself, and so you just take a taxi over there. So it would still cost you money, and New York's going to be expensive, period.
See, I'm so much more willing to do something like that for me. No way am I willing to do that to my wife.
Well, you would ask her, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but...
Isn't this part of a conversation?
It's just something about... I know what I'm willing to put up with and still have a good time with.
Sure.
If I have to worry about if she's having a good time, I don't want to even have to worry about that. I want to be in a hotel room where I can just see it on her face.
Right.
She's having a great fucking time. She doesn't have to worry about nothing. It's super clean. She's walking into this hotel room. She's like, oh, holy fuck. I want that holy fuck expression on my wife's face when we go on vacation, because we don't go on vacation very much. So if we're going to take the time off to do that, and for somebody to wrangle our kids while we're gone, because that's a legitimate concern.
Big one.
Logistics that you have to think about. So if we get all those cards lined up, I really want it to be awesome. I don't want to get a hostel. I don't want grandma walking by at 6 a.m. in her moo-moo.
In her bra and undies.
Hey,
she could be hot.
Hey, kids, do you want coffee with your eggs and bacon? No.
Good job. Good job taking this thing down some fucking horrible...
I want you to get out of this room that you call a living room and what I'm calling a bedroom, and I want you to stop staring at my naked body.
Because this is how I roll.
Because this is how I am.
That's what I do.
My bare ass was on your sheets.
Okay.
Please wash them by morning.
Hopefully she washed them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
I feel so much better about my trip now.
You know what?
It's amazing how he can just turn things around.
You know what? Actually, yeah, I do want that cup of coffee.
Everything's good.
But see, the problem is you have to, if you're living in a situation like that, that's when it is good to have weapons involved. You see, safety first.
Safety first.
Gotta have my Glock.
No.
You never know. You never know.
No, guns sometimes
just throwing it out there.
Guns that are just sitting there sometimes pop up out of nowhere and just shoot people on their own. So
That's true.
Guns are dangerous. Just sitting there.
That's when they come in handy.
I'm finding that I am accumulating guns like I never thought I would before.
That's a good thing.
It is a good thing. Actually, today, Mrs. Matt came home, or I came home, and she said, "Hey, my dad wanted you to have this .22 rifle."
Nice.
I'm like, "That's awesome." She goes, "Yeah, there's a bunch of ammunition with it that he gave me.
Real cheap.
All you need."
Yeah, I mean, well, he gave it to me. It's kind of an heirloom. She said, "Here's a story that goes behind it. We had it when I was a kid." She said, "Somebody broke into our house and stole it. But one of our friends found out who had it and went and got it, and he had to disarm the guy to get it back."
Interesting.
Kind of neat. So
with the 22?
Yeah, to get the 22 back. And so she's saying this in front of my kids, and I'm thinking, this is like an heir. I've never had an heirloom.
Family thing.
I've never had a family heirloom of any kind, of fucking nothing, whether it's a China hutch or some bullshit. I don't have anything like that. So to have something that her dad had, and she loves her dad so much, and he's in hospice right now. He's towards the end of this journey, and for us to have something of his that she remembers having as a child that has even a kind of sort of cool story behind it, and for our kids to hear it, and for me to say, hey kids, guess what? I'm going to teach you how to use that someday. When you get older, I'm going to show you how to use that, and maybe you'll have that.
As a family heirloom. That's awesome.
I just thought that was fucking cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. And especially an old weapon. Yeah. That's something that guns, that's a uniqueness about guns that besides furniture, even furniture, because furniture can be really dated. But you bring in like an old fashioned 12 gauge or just an old gun, you're like, oh, that thing still works. That is awesome. Yeah. It's still accurate. It's still kick-ass, and it's just beautiful, and it has lasted the test of time because you're taking care of it, and it's not just something to kill somebody with. It's a family heirloom. It's cool.
Well, you go squirrel hunting with 22s, don't you?
Yeah.
On everything.
Yeah, you can hunt just about anything. That's what mobsters used to use to snuff people out, was a 22 in the back of the head.
So quiet.
Is that why?
It's quiet. It's quiet, and it has just enough penetration, just enough power to go into the back of the skull, but not enough to leave the skull. So then it just bounces around, and it.
That's pleasant.
Fucks you up.
That's awesome.
But not the killing part, which is cool.
Know what you mean.
But just the bouncing of the brain all over the place. That's cool.
Oh my god! One of the guys when I was shooting today, one of the guys that was participating in this, he said, "Hey, have you seen this video on YouTube?" I said, "No." He goes, "It's a I think it's called 357 mule, 357 versus a mule." I think it's a 357. I think it is. But they play this mule that's getting shot in Australia. They play it back 3 times. And each time they slow it down. And holy fuck. Okay, the first time you see the mule get shot, you're like, okay, he died. You shot him, he fell down. Then they slow it down the second time. The amount of power that this bullet had once it hit the carcass of this mule, this tiny little metal thing hit you with so much power, it drove them, a huge shockwave went through a mule. I mean, fuck, that's like a horse. That thing is huge.
It's thicker than a horse.
It's bigger than a goddamn deer. So to see these ripples go through this donkey and for it to lift the donkey up off the ground and all the dust just
Why were they shooting the donkey?
Who fucking knows? It was
assholes.
It was yeah, it could be.
Okay.
It was some YouTube video, but you watch that and you get this. You are reminded how devastating, how powerful some guns are.
Or
Holy
don't they say
shit.
that those 50 cal long distance rifle shots that there's a 3 or 4 foot area around it with the velocity of the bullet,
doesn't even have to touch you.
Doesn't have to touch you. That the impact within a 3 or 4 foot radius will take you out as well. Because
and I don't know why, but
impact is so hard. Or the velocity,
the wind around it, or what?
It's the air movement around the projectile that is so crazy.
Take your arm off.
A lot of times,
the air would take the arm off your.
A lot of times, I'm trying to think of the term, but a lot of times when the bullet goes into a body, cavitation. Right. So the cavitation is the damage around the projectile that the projectile created because of the shock waves, because the bullet went in, but the organs around it were so fucked up because of how much energy was going into it. Huh. So it's all this shit around it. Is that nuts?
That's crazy.
Is that nuts? Okay, something I want to bring up before we totally get off MMA was a documentary that I want to see. Still, I haven't seen it yet, but I heard it was really cool. It's called Choke.
Never heard of it.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
So check it out. I want to hear back. That's your homework assignment.
Choke.
Choke.
That can
All
be
right.
choke.
Choke.
Not to change the subject totally, but I'm about to do it anyway.
Do it.
What do you guys think about selfies? What do you think?
Hold on a second.
Selfies, wait.
a second. Is this a new term? I don't know what a selfie is.
Selfie is, let me demonstrate for you there.
If you whip out your penis, I'm going to...
Well, no.
Oh, no. This is when you take a picture of yourself.
Yeah, you do like
Okay,
this.
gotcha. Okay.
And then like sometimes
That's
they'll,
right.
they'll do the chuck up the deuces, the 2 fingers and the duck face.
The duck lips.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You see it all the time on the social media, the Facebook.com and Instagram and
Are you going to bring up the funeral shit?
the funeral shit.
Are you going to
talked
bring up
about
the
this?
funeral shit? Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
What's
heard
the
of
funeral
People
shit?
doing selfies at fucking funerals.
Oh, yeah. I heard
With the,
about
not
that.
with the body.
Yeah, sometimes with the
with
fucking
the body.
Oh my god.
Jared Demonized Downing and I actually had a conversation about this on the way over here.
All right, I
Yes.
want to hear it.
And I want to put this in my will. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this in my will.
We all do selfies with your body.
We have to do selfies with you.
At the wake, my undertaker who takes care of my dead body and gets it ready for the wake, I want him to make sure I have a duck face. And I also want to have deuces chucked up close to my duck face. And then I would like to also request in my will that everybody who attends my wake takes a selfie with me and post it
All right.
to their Facebook.com profile.
There is a
That's profile picture.
There is a professional female jiu-jitsu artist right now going, I can't wait to fuck this guy up.
And there's a guy sitting right here thinking, yeah, right.
I heard
I'll be
about this
cremated.
selfie. I heard about
No
the
selfies.
selfie thing,
Yeah.
which I was like, what the fuck's a selfie? But I heard about this and about people taking it
Sure.
at funerals, and I thought to myself, depending on who it is, well, no, it doesn't really depend on who it is. If, let's say, it's one of my loved ones who died,
Right.
and I'm at the funeral, and I see, let's say one of my kids or my wife dies. Obviously it has to be somebody special to me. I'm at the funeral.
Sure.
If some little bitch or some little dickhead took a selfie, I might lose my goddamn mind, and you better pray to God I'm not packing heat that day.
What the fuck? That'd be crazy. Like somebody's like got their arm. You see a picture posted on Facebook. In the background, there's like people dressed in all black in a coffin, and they got their arm up, and the picture of themselves.
Yeah.
And then the caption says something like "at my grandma's funeral" or something like that.
Love you, Nana.
I can't help it. If I saw something like that on social media, I would immediately laugh.
You know what? I'm glad you brought this up because this is a great segue into something else I wanted to talk about today. But because that is it, that was brought up on where I heard this was Good Morning America. They were talking about this and how would you react? And the overwhelming majority of the other people on the show were like, it's really fucking rude. It's very distasteful. To do that, especially at a funeral. You want to do a selfie somewhere? I don't give a shit.
What about a wake? What about a wake with the dead body?
No.
Is that right or not?
No,
So if I put that in my
probably not.
will, people probably won't do it if you.
Now, if that was something that the deceased wanted, completely different story.
Right.
Completely different story.
And the body's there with the
Deuced
deuces
up
and,
and
the. I mean,
pussy
you
face.
people would know that's what needed to happen. Like, oh,
Your
you need to take a
mother would
selfie.
never let that happen in 1,000 years.
I'm talking to
Nah,
them about it if it happens.
She'd be the first one taking a selfie.
he really
with
wanted
me.
this. He really wanted
Like
this.
I have it on tape right now on
yeah.
recording.
Oh yeah.
Go to
That's
Primal
it.
Scream and you'll hear it.
.org.
So you have, theprimalscream.org. Hey, so if you have that in society,
Sure.
this is how this is my anger, this is my frustration with society sometimes, because we have something as what I would consider as fucked up as that, having a selfie at a funeral, and that is okay, and people laugh about it, and it's like, that's all right, it's no big deal, but then you have other things. That's okay, but we're so politically correct that we don't want to down on anything. We don't want to down on selfies. We don't want to down on anything. We don't want to be critical of anybody's heritage. We don't want to be critical of anybody's culture. There's a woman that... This is going to get real serious real quick.
I guess so.
From selfies to serious. Here we
Selfies
go.
to serious. So there's this woman who I read about this on London Evening Standard. What happened when anti-FGM, which is female, let me make sure I get this right, female genitalia mutilation,
Oh my gosh.
What happened when anti-female genital mutilation campaigner asked people in the street to sign a petition in favor of mutilating girls? Okay, the headline sounds bad, right? But here's the deal. She was mutilated as a child, and she wanted to bring awareness to this, and she wanted what she had hoped to do was to come out and walk around and do this survey of people, and what she wanted to have happen was people to have a huge outcry, for people to be so fucking shocked that she would have said, hey, are you in favor of this? And they said, well, I suppose it's your culture, so yes, I'm in favor of it. There was an overwhelming response of people saying, yeah, that's fine, go ahead and mutilate young women, cut their clits off. At 7 years old.
And where was this at? Yeah.
This was in London. So,
Not surprising.
So,
I'm not surprised.
in only 30 minutes, 19 people signed it, with some saying they believed FGM, female genital mutilation, was wrong, but because it was part of this lady's culture, they would add their names. And only one person refused to sign, and she was bawling. This lady, she only spent like 30 minutes out there doing this, but the response was so devastating to her that she's breaking down crying. And it's a point to where these people are saying, "Oh, we don't want to be insensitive to your culture." At some point, as a human being, you have to be able to say, "You know what? Fuck your culture.
Right? Kind of like
Fuck you and fuck you." And I don't believe in the selfie thing and at the funeral, and I don't believe in fucking mutilating 7-year-old girls and cutting off their clits. You
Kinda-
fucking ridiculous bastards.
kind of like the Muslim belief that you need to put women in freaking blankets all day long and only have their eyes be showing. You know, people won't criticize that because, that's their religion. It's like, well, you know what? They're human beings and they're put in freaking blankets all day long.
And if they don't, they can be shot or whatever.
Exactly.
Stoned.
That's ridiculous. Stoned to
Exactly.
death. Like, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
So you know what? If you
I'll
want to call
criticize
me,
that all day long. I'll criticize.
You want to call us insensitive bastards? You want to call us pricks? I don't fucking care. Fine, do it.
And if you do,
But there's some shit that you should. And this is the whole reason why this podcast came about, is because we're sick of political correctness, and we're sick of having to fucking hide what we want to say all the time, because we're in fear of what our wives might say, or what our friends might say, or what our bosses might say, or what our neighbors might say. We have to get out of this cultural norm of trying to be a robot and saying, oh, that's your culture? Okay, that's cool. No, that's cool. No, it ain't fucking cool. Be opinionated. Be opinionated and put it out there and get in people's faces every now and then. It's okay. If there's some fat fuck at Walmart and he's dressed like one of those people of Walmart, and you're just like, oh my God, why are you wearing shorts that barely cover your ass cheeks, you 400-pound fat fuck? And you're sitting on the salad bar. You're sitting on food. You're sitting on produce. At that point, you should walk up and fucking broomstick that guy.
Did that happen to you? Did you see?
It actually happened to a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, who was at Walmart with his wife, and his wife, as soon as she saw this guy, walked up to my buddy and goes, "Hey, don't say anything." And he goes, "Say what about what?" She goes, "I just keep walking. Don't say anything about the guy over there." And as soon as she said it, he looked over and he goes, "Oh, fuck no." And he walked over and he goes, "Get the fuck off the food, you fat fuck. Can I be any more plain? Get the fuck off the food. Do you have no idea what you're doing? You're sitting on fucking food that people want to purchase." It's not even that you're a fat fuck.
Yeah, it's part of his culture, though.
You're sitting on food
It's
that
culture
people want
that
to
Americans are
purchase.
idiots.
Part of his culture.
How
And where was
inconsiderate
it?
can
Where
you
was
be?
this at?
I can see why you do
Walmart,
that.
right? 2 blocks
Really?
away from our house.
I didn't even know they had a salad bar.
I understand why you
It's
do
not a
that.
salad bar. It's one of those refrigerated islands where there's pre-made salads
Oh,
packaged.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you can just walk up and grab one of those pre-made salads.
Yeah.
It's just fucking gross. So if you have something to say it.
If you don't agree with us, post a funeral selfie pic at primalscream.org.
Oh my God.
Oh, God.
That's the last.
Put him over the edge.
That's the last thing.
Fuck,
You know
I'll
what?
never hear the end of it. We'll be 90 years old. God damn it. Remember that one time Rock said that? We got those goddamn selfies.
I told you not to do the selfie thing.
Comments are pre-screened, but I'm pretty sure that'll make it on there.
Hey, you know what? Right now, we're at about an hour and 30 into the podcast. I have some stuff that is going to leap us off into possibly a large tangent because I know it's going to rile this guy up.
Well, Bigfoot?
No. 20-inch pygmies. No. The FATCA. Have you heard of this? FATCA?
No, I have not.
Okay. The U.S. is asking foreign banks to rat on U.S. clients or deny them access to those banks overseas. So if a U.S. citizen wants to open up
A foreign bank
account, or if they've already done that, the U.S. government is asking these other banks to say, tell us what they're withdrawing, tell us how much is in their account, tell us how much they're depositing, and if you're not going to do that, at least do this. Don't let them open up an account.
Well, what do you expect? It's the land of the free, of course.
Well, people are leaving. That's what RT had a show on talking about how people they're revoking their U.S. citizenship.
There's a lot of people doing, mainly
Tina
wealthy
Turner
people.
did it.
Yeah.
Bobby Fischer did
wealthy
it.
people, yeah.
One of the original
can.
Facebook investors did it.
Right.
Because they can.
Because they can. They
Yeah.
can move and live abroad. They have the money to do so.
Or they have a house somewhere else and they can say I'm a citizen of wherever else and still have
Right.
their property too.
Well, see, I don't have a house somewhere else, so
Exactly.
I can't do that. But they might see certain things coming down the pipe here in America and say, you know what? I don't think I want to be here when shit goes down. And they're kind of smart and they're getting the hell out of here.
Well, I'll post the interview so that people can get what right out of the interviewer's mouth. But she says 1,130 residents have revoked their citizenship, and I don't know if that's just within this last quarter or this last year or what it is. But she is saying that the case is being made by the U.S. government that there's over $100 billion in tax evasion because of
Good for them.
overseas. Yeah.
Well, the government just pisses all of our money away anyways.
That $100 billion could possibly come straight from GE since they didn't pay any taxes fucking anyway.
I'm a big fan of anybody who can evade taxes, do it, because they don't spend our money wisely anyway. Why does the government need more of our money? They dug us a $17 trillion hole. Why do they need more of our money? They've already proven themselves incompetent, incapable of spending money wisely, incapable of doing anything wisely. Why do they need more of our money? Anybody, if you could avoid taxes, I say do it.
It's worse than a 16-year-old girl with a credit card. They're doing way worse than that.
Yeah, they're the
Very
most
nicely said. Very nicely said.
incompetent people and the worst people ever to manage money in the history of humankind.
Look what I did. All I had to do was say this.
You
I
got
was
him,
like
you got
fanning
him.
the ambers.
Exactly.
But really, people
Keep it
get
going.
on. People, maybe this has a lot to do with the mainstream media, but there is a stigma on people who evade taxes. I'm not a fan of Mitt Romney. Don't misinterpret this. But during the election of 2012, people scrutinized him for having money in offshore bank accounts because he was avoiding paying taxes by doing so. Well, you know what? Good for him. I'm not a fan of Mitt Romney, but if you could avoid the government taking your money by force, 'cause that's what it is. It's force. Government takes money. You don't have a choice.
And it's not a law, correct? Am I wrong? I keep hearing shit on the internet that it's not a law.
It is.
There's a constitutional amendment that allows them to take income taxes from your paycheck.
Okay, so it is a law.
It went into effect 1913. It's probably the worst amendment in the Constitution. But yeah, it's in there. It's lawful. And when it was passed, it was sold to the public as we're only going to tax the richest 1% of the country, and we're only going to tax them, a minimal amount. I think it was, somewhere below 5%. It was nothing. Well, it has evolved, obviously, beyond that. I mean, look where we're at today.
A third of everybody.
Yeah, essentially, Americans work 30% of the year for free in slave labor because they're forced to give. Give is not even the right word. because the government takes 30% of what you make every year, and they spend it on whatever they want it to. Whether you agree with what the money's spent on it or not, you have no choice whether or not that money gets taken from you. Well, I mean, what kind of freedom is that?
And if you have a business and you are giving other people jobs and money, they take more than a third, most likely, right?
Right. With the progressive tax, the more you make, the more they take, type of thing. It's anti-liberty, it's anti-freedom, and government is the only institution within anywhere that I'm aware of. And if anybody can come up with another one, please let me know. But the only institution that gets its money, gets its funding through violence, through coercive taxation. Every other private business, private entity gets their money through voluntary exchanges, through goods and services, or private contributions. So that is one thing that distinguishes government from every other institution, every other entity on planet Earth.
Yeah, like with the government, I mean, if you choose not to pay taxes, what happens to you? Violence, or you go to jail for an extended amount of time. So no matter what is taking it up from you, it's not by choice.
Sure. For instance, if I didn't pay my property taxes, let's say I just didn't pay them, what would happen? Well, first, I probably might get a letter in the mail or something like that. I ignore that letter. What happens after that? Well, I might get another letter in the mail. Well, let's say I ignore that one too. Well, the next thing you know, they need to enforce this tax. So policemen with guns will come to my house and put me in a cage because I refuse to give my money to the government.
Who spends all your money on going to war, enforcing laws to a free country, of course.
Whether I agree with what is done with that money or not, I have to give it to them. Otherwise they'll put me in a cage. Yeah.
I thought I had read or heard years ago that there was a way that people had gotten around paying taxes by, and I wish I remember specifically what it was, but if they had used some law case or something saying, I'm not going to pay this due to this, and they got away with not ever paying any taxes. I don't know how that's possible.
There's a lot of YouTube videos out there that either those YouTube videos are getting people arrested left and right and they're ruining people's lives, or they're ingenious and they're wonderful videos. It's one or the other. It's totally one or the other, because they are trying to teach you how to remove yourself from our legal system. And I'm gonna butcher this, I'm sure, but I'll try to put some links up to some videos that I've seen of this, where they'll say, no, that's not my name. I'm not a part of this corporation known as the United States. I've seen these videos. Yeah. I am my own entity. So when if they get pulled over for speeding, or if they get a ticket of any kind, they'll go in front of a judge.
Sovereign citizens.
Thank you very much. Sovereign citizens. Thanks, Rock.
No problem.
He's so fucking smart. That's why I love having him on here, because you just never know when he's just going to vomit some knowledge on us.
Vomit.
He drops it.
So,
Hashtag
sovereign. This hashtag shit's going to kill me. All right.
You just got to get faster at it.
I do. My mind is not in this hashtag.
I didn't even choose to do it. It just happened. So, yeah.
It's just a response.
And if you want some really funny shit about that, watch
Justin Timberlake and who?
Jimmy Fallon.
Oh.
Justin Timberlake, Jimmy
Great
Fallon.
little video.
Hashtag video. All right, I'll put that on there.
But yeah, sovereign citizens, anyway.
The sovereign citizen movement. So people are fighting back against police officers. Well, they're not fighting back. They're using lingo. They're using legal lingo to remove themselves from any type of legal prosecution. And one YouTube video, this guy goes up in front of a judge and he says all the right things. And it's all about knowing what to say, exactly what to say. You have to know exactly what papers to fill out and how to fill them out for the court. And when he goes up, he goes, nope, I'm representing myself. I don't need anybody representing me. Because then at that point, at that point you're acknowledging that they own you, that you are a part of this corporation.
So are they automatically exempt from like help from the police and the fire department and things like that?
Well, the amazing thing was that this judge said in this particular YouTube video, the judge says, sir, what I need you to do at this point is to have a seat. We'll work through all the other cases, and then we'll deal with you at the end.
He didn't want everybody else to watch what he's doing.
It's a female judge. No, you're all right. It's a female judge, and that's what it appears. She doesn't want everybody else to see that this fucking guy is getting out of it. If you say these words, you're saying it's almost like fucking garlic or holy water to a vampire. Psh, you throw that shit out there and like, I can't do anything to you. I'm powerless. It was really fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But again, it's either they are either ruining people's lives because that shit really doesn't work, or there's people that are like, holy shit, there's a huge scam going on, and people have no idea how powerful they are or how powerless they are by just going along with this. Yes, I am one of your employees. You own me as I am a product of this environment, which is called the United States Corporation.
I've been through it.
Am I wrong? Am I representing this wrong?
I don't know too much about it, but the way you're saying it makes pretty good sense. Yeah.
On the other side, I've been through it with the judges on a lot of traffic violations. I have a lot of traffic violations.
You got a heavy foot?
Heavy foot, and once I didn't have a license, I kept on driving, and people knew who I was and kept on pulling me over.
Because you're fucking famous.
No,
you're Jared Demonized Downey, goddammit.
Before I became slightly famous. Before that, I was getting pulled over a lot on my driving, on just being me and driving. And that's how you feel. You feel helpless because you are in their power. You feel like I'm one of your employees. I can't do anything about it. Right. That's how they make you feel. You have no options. But
it would be like me walking into your dojo. Your
exactly. Yeah.
And being like, hey, and you're saying, hey, we're doing some jujitsu. What? What the fuck are you doing? Oh shit! What do I need to do? All you needed to do was tap, motherfucker. Yeah. I'm sorry you didn't tap. I had to break your arm.
Exactly. And once you tap, you're done, and they have all your fines and blah 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 all over your record. And you have no choice.
To me, it's amazing whether this is fact or fiction, and I don't know. I don't know for sure. I don't fucking know. That's scary. It's scary that I don't know. We should know. Are we a part of a corporation?
Oh, we definitely
Of course we are.
Yeah.
Why is it that you got that amazes me? I've never really sat and thought about this. United States, yeah, it's a corporation.
It's a business because I think about the people who are paying our politicians to make the choices in hand. I mean, it's not us paying them except for Ron Paul. It's businesses, it's corporations literally paying them to make the choices in their favor. If that's from prisons to whatever.
And think like Virginia just elected a new governor, right?
Okay, sure.
And they're saying that the Republican was a crazy right-wing guy, Tea Partier, and then the Democrat was a well-known complete scam artist that had just had horrible business deals and all those things, and that was it. I mean, the independent
those are your two choices.
Those are two choices. The third party guy, who I think was a libertarian guy, I can't remember if he was libertarian or independent, but he got maybe like 100,000 votes.
Yeah,
it was like so small, but I mean that was their choices,
And who did they choose?
That's all they had was those two guys.
So who'd they choose?
Oh, the Democrat,
the business guy.
And mostly they say
the scam artist.
The scam artist, and then mostly they say because the social issues of the Tea Partier said was for vaginal scoping of women before they get abortions and closing down a lot of social issues, a lot of like anti-gay stuff. So that's why he was having so much trouble. And then of course this Democrat had to get past all his scandals of all the shitty business deals or shady business deals he did to get elected. So it seems like, oh, do I do somebody who's unscrupulous when it comes to the business, or I do some guy who's going to tie us up religiously because he's a big Bible thumper.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're thinking. My sister was having a baby, so I have no idea what she voted for.
As long as most people get their information from the mainstream media, we're going to have two choices because they promote the left versus right paradigm, and third parties are not ever going to be able to flourish under that system. The more people go towards internet-based information, because internet so far, as of right now, is largely unregulated. So that's why we got websites like RT and Reason.com and things like that. The government doesn't have a hand in that, in regulating what kind of information's out there. So that's why a lot of these ideas, that's why Anonymous can flourish, because the government hasn't taken control over and censored the internet quite yet. They've tried.
Yeah, Internet 2.0.
Right. They've tried with legislation like CISPA, and there was another one before CISPA.
So the F, right?
I can't remember what it was called, but there was a big deal that ended up getting defeated. But nonetheless, government is relentless. They will come back with a new bill, until something passes. But anyways, the mainstream media, the government-controlled media, will never let a third party that tells it how it is enter the mainstream. Look, Ron Paul is a perfect example during the Republican primaries of 2008, and
how they never covered him.
They never covered him.
Said he was losing.
Right.
They were saying he was losing and he was winning.
Right, exactly. There would be times where they would show a poll, let's say like a New Jersey Republican primary poll. Right. They would show the first, the third, and the fourth, but they wouldn't show who was in second place because that was Ron Paul. It
was so blatant because it was on the screen too. It showed the ranks, and then they would talk about this person, and they were below Ron Paul.
So how can any of us and the people at home who are listening to this podcast, if you saw that and you knew what was going on, are you still watching those news agencies? Do you still flip through that channel? Do you pause? Do you listen to what they have to say? And if you do, they gotcha.
They also perpetuate different points of view too. So they'll take Ron Paul, for instance. This is just a good example because he was a big example in 2012 and 2008. They'll take what he has to say and they'll totally make his ideas sound like they're not plausible, they're crazy, they're fringe. They'll use all those kind of stigmatized words to attach to his ideas, while they'll talk about, the typical Republican and the typical Democrats' ideas as being normal and okay and acceptable. Any big change from the way the status quo is, that's fringe, that's ridiculous, that's not even close to happening. So, guys like him will always get shunned, and that's why his supporters were so vocal. His supporters were just ridiculous. we were.
I was actually
mad about it.
I was very surprised that he didn't get the nomination.
Oh, you were surprised that he did not? He had the media beast to fight against.
Well, no, he did. You're right. He did. Yeah. He had that, but the people that were so passionate about him. When at one point his campaign strategist or his manager, or maybe they're the same person, went on the Daily Show with Jon Stewart and was telling Jon Stewart, yes, this is our plan. Our followers, the people that want Ron Paul, are staying behind after these town hall meetings.
Yeah, I was one of those people.
And those people, and if it's only Ron Paul people staying behind, volunteering to go to the next step, at the very end of this long process, if it's nothing but Ron Paul people saying, oh, we're supposed to represent those back there, we're voting for Ron Paul.
And you know what happened? It worked here in Iowa.
It did work. It worked in Iowa.
It
was fucking ingenious.
It worked here in Iowa better than any other state in the country. We had, I think, 21 out of 22 delegates were Ron Paul people.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
But we were one of the first, weren't we? Like, it was early on.
We were the first ones, but that's not the end all be all. There's a process you got to go through when you have the caucus. Then they have regional, then they have state, and you have to advance to the next tier in order to go to the national convention. And the ones you send to the national convention are decided at the state convention.
Jesus, it sounds like fucking Amway.
You know what? I learned a lot about the process. The process is really fucked up. But the people who were passionate, the Ron Paul supporters on the Republican side, were willing to stick it out and go through it. And therefore, we had 21 out of 22 people go to the national convention who cast their vote for Ron Paul. And we also got the chairman of the Iowa Republican Party was a Ron Paul supporter. I don't think he's the chairman any longer. But basically, the Ron Paul people, the libertarian-minded people who joined the Republican Party just because it's the only other viable option. You can't have a libertarian party and get in the system and change things, because you have to be in one of the two big major parties, because that's the way the monster is built.
And that was the other thing that surprised me. I was really surprised that he didn't take all of this media hype and all this attention that he had gotten for running
and run
for the
third party.
And then when he got to that point where they didn't let him in on the Republican ticket, he just said, "All right, hey, well, thanks for all your time and effort. I'm going libertarian."
Well, and I was surprised too,
because the libertarian candidate
there have been smaller, like who is the guy from the Green Party when Barack Obama was running the very first time in 2008? There's a guy from the Green Party that was doing the same exact thing that was running, and then he went as an independent because he couldn't get part of the Democratic ticket. And I thought that's what I was waiting for too with Ron Paul, to do that. But it also obviously will never ever change unless we get campaign financing reform done. And why would you ever go against campaign refinancing when that's going to make you a millionaire when you become a candidate or you're running for office? So it's never going to change. So that's why I always make the comment that I do think that you have to be part of it to change it. If that's really what you want to have happen, then you need to be part of it.
Yeah,
Rand Paul.
Yeah, Rand Paul, Ron Paul's kid, is a perfect example. I mean, he doesn't fit the mold for a typical Republican, but he's playing the game a little bit so he can get inside the system and make some changes. And, he's extremely libertarian-minded. Libertarianism is what this country was founded upon, and it's starting to make a resurgence, thankfully. We just need to get more people to understand what it is and understand what freedom is all about, and what being free people is all about, and how we're going down the reverse path of what we once were. If we can get people to understand that stuff and just let that brush fire catch on, we can make something happen. The internet's super important when it comes to that, because the media does not let that point of view come to light too often. And when it does, they suppress it. Judge Andrew Napolitano is a great example of that. He was a huge constitutionalist, huge libertarian spokesman on Fox Business. And once he got to be a little too outspoken,
who was that?
They canceled his show.
Judge Napolitano.
Yeah, Judge Andrew Napolitano. I'm a huge fan of his. I follow him on social media and stuff. He's very, very smart. But another example, and I'm not a big fan of this guy, is Glenn Beck. But once he started talking anti-government, anti-establishment, telling people about the way things are, next thing you know,
he found himself a new career.
Right, exactly. He went to, I think he's on satellite radio or something that's not regulated nowadays.
Yeah.
So,
what? But all of these things that go against the norm.
Mm-hmm.
If this is the first time you've ever heard about you're part of a corporation and you're not part of a democracy, you're not part of a country, you're not a citizen, but you're owned by a corporation. These are conversations that you need to have that are uncomfortable. Last podcast I had brought up genocide. Not because I believe in it, but because that's one of those. We're afraid to have conversations about things that are so passionate, words that invoke so much passion. And when we are all able to stop being so politically correct, when we are all able to take in what you're saying and what you're saying and what you're saying, and you're trying to look at that point of view, and you're able to make a reasonable, educated, true opinion about something, that's when you can move forward. That's when you can actually make your own decisions instead of being herded around like sheep. That's what I love about this podcast, is that I'm hearing stuff all the time. It pushes me to look at things on the internet that I wouldn't normally look at, and to bring up and to talk about and to get your guys' opinions on it, because who knows? I could be totally full of shit.
Or ostracize our listeners by calling them dumbasses if they watch the regular media.
No, you know what? I don't think you're... dumbass is probably the wrong thing to say.
You're fooled.
You are fooled. You are completely sold.
I would say you. I honestly I don't watch very much of the media anymore. But I do watch. I do read RT. I do follow things on the internet. I do listen to NPR, and then once in a while I do turn on the TV. And the hard part, I think, is why I think it's okay if people do watch it, is you are very quickly realize how silly it is. If you watch RT and you listen to, this is just me, read RT and listen to NPR, right? Just pretty much just straight news that's not controlled by them. Well, I would say NPR is probably controlled some.
Oh, yeah.
But
Hugely
then I'm like, then I turn on CNN or I turn on MSNBC, something like that, and it's just frivolous space
It's
taken
divisive.
up.
That's their whole point, is to divide people.
Yeah.
You know,
Whereas the other two inform me. I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that. Or, oh, God, this is happening somewhere else in the world. That's interesting. Those two things inform me. The mainstream media doesn't inform me of anything.
Their job
Tell
is
you
to
what's going
perpetuate the left-right paradigm. MSNBC's job is to get people to hate Republicans. Fox News' job is to get people to hate Democrats. That way they keep people pinned against each other while government works behind the scenes and still fucks us in the ass.
Republican
That's what it's
and
all
Democrat, they have the same exact objective. It's just they have a few different ways of getting it done.
Right. Let's keep people arguing about social issues like abortion and gay marriage, which are important in their own right, but they don't really have that much weight as to what direction this country goes in. For example, foreign policy. For example, monetary policy. Huge things that affect all of us and the direction of this country. Both parties largely agree on. They want to keep their stronghold on those things. They don't want anything to change in those areas. But they divert away from those topics, just like they did with Ron Paul when he brought up, let's audit the Fed. Like, audit the Fed? No way, we can't do that. They're secret, leave them alone. But, so they'll get us all hot and charged. And those are passionate issues. Abortion is an issue people get very passionate about. Gay marriage is a very is an issue people also get passionate about. So it's easy to distract people into consuming themselves or consuming an entire election around those issues, while the really big picture, the really big issues that determine where this country's going to go,
What kind of world is your
those
kid
get
gonna grow
obscured.
up in?
Right. Those get
Exactly,
obscured.
And I think Sam Harris was the one I heard most recently say, you've got, that's the danger of having religion in politics, is it really does distract you from the real issues that are there. It gets you focusing on these things that really have to do with a personal, private thing in your life.
And they know that.
And they know that. Yeah. So you had to pull that out.
That actually brings me back to something we were talking about earlier. Being so distracted, getting so wrapped up in all this other bullshit, and you're trying to you want to find out who you are, and that's what's kind of selling me on wanting to go and do the jiu-jitsu thing and find out who you are. And when you are stressed out, let's just think in the real world. You go to work, you're stressed out, your wife's nagging on you, maybe your kids want all these fucking expensive toys, and you're fucking just stressed, and you're gonna lose it. I'm thinking training, jiu-jitsu, working out your body, getting more comfortable, learning how to deal under stress, learning how to be just patient, relax, take a breath. I mean, when I hear athletes talk about their sport, I've never heard a football player talk about football games and practice the way I've heard a jiu-jitsu person talk about that. I've never heard a wrestler talk about wrestling practice and have it equivalent to the same as what somebody doing jiu-jitsu is like, or a boxer, or swimming, or basketball. It's very unique. To me, right now, the way I'm looking at it, and the impulses, because I have no free will. The impulses that are bombarding me lately makes me really look at doing jiu-jitsu is one of those basic things. Do you know yourself? Are you comfortable with yourself? Do you know what you're capable of? And are you making decisions because you're a scared bitch? Are you making decisions in your life because you're nervous about the repercussions? Are you nervous about getting a hit to the face? Are you nervous about getting submitted? Are you nervous about what is, to me, and this is me, I'm nervous about going into hard drive MMA. I'm nervous.
A lot of guys are. I hear that a lot.
And because I don't know what to expect. I don't want to be a bitch. I don't want to go in there and be made a fool of, or to look like a fool. And I don't want to see in me somebody who's, you know what? Here's reality. You can't do that shit. You can't do that shit. There's reality. I don't want to face that. So that's one of those things that keeps me from going in through that door. I spend so much money. Recently I said, well, I'm not doing it because I can't afford it. But I spend so much money on other things. Shit, just crap junk food. I spend more money on crap junk food for a whole month. I could probably take all that money and put it into paying a membership to go to Hard Drive MMA. But it's that fear. And if we can get past that fear, your fear when you went to CrossFit for the first time.
Right. Well, and I guess I've been in the same boat as you because I've been thinking a lot about jiu-jitsu because I've been thinking about my kids, and I thought more of after seeing those CrossFit games where obviously you're scared and nervous doing things like that. I thought it would be a good thing because it would challenge me, it would challenge my fears. I'd be taking a risk. I'd be putting myself out there. And I guess I also go back to Joe Rogan and the idea of, he says he has to do really fucking intense shit on a regular basis because it keeps him mellow. He has to have that in his life to keep him kind of functioning well. And I thought maybe I need to step things up. And I love doing CrossFit. I'll probably always do that. But if I could add jiu-jitsu to that twice a week, that'd be fantastic. You know, if I could do it with my kids, I could watch my kids do it, and then maybe I could do a class. That'd be kind of awesome to add to my repertoire. You know what I mean? And again, when I hear Sam Harris talk about him training jiu-jitsu, I'm like, oh, fuck, if Sam Harris trains jiu-jitsu, that'd be pretty sweet, too. Oh, and Jared demonized Downey.
Well, I mean, yeah.
With me. See, that's the great part.
You and Sam Harris, buddy.
And if you think about that, how many situations are you put in day to day, month to month, throughout your whole life, and you made a decision because you were a bitch, because you were worried about that outcome, because you didn't want to step up, because you didn't want to go to that rally, because Anonymous wasn't there and you couldn't put on a mask, because you didn't want people to know who you were, because you were afraid of somebody's reactions. Instead of just feeling like, you know what? It's life. I'm okay. I can take care of myself.
YOLO.
I can relax. YOLO.
Yeah.
God,
You can sum it up just by saying, fuck it, YOLO.
But you
know
have
what I
to
mean?
get to that point.
Hashtag it first.
Hashtag YOLO.
Hashtag YOLO. Just do it.
But you have to get to that point first mentally. And
Live
to get
free.
to that point mentally, you got to go through, I think, a lot of shit physically to get to that point of security.
To get to the YOLO.
Well,
Zen.
you know what? To be honest, and what I had a long personal conversation with myself about this, about the idea of doing jiu-jitsu because I could feel like I could handle myself better. I haven't been in a fight probably since it's been a really, really long time.
And you're 58 years old.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, how many 58-year-olds?
Because I look 58.
And you're hot.
How many? Yeah, you're in great shape
You're
for
not 58,
58.
are you?
No.
Okay, I'm about to say, holy shit, you're doing awesome.
I mean,
man.
look how
I was
hot
about to
that
say, you're
is.
doing awesome, man.
Pretty hot guy.
I did it. I
Nice.
sold him.
Indeed.
I was about to wait a minute.
Hey, how you doing?
But
I was
yeah,
just thinking,
but
I
even
could-
you
I
at
could-
your age, why
Yeah.
are you even considering? Why is that little fear even in there?
No, and it's not fear. It's more of like I want to keep challenging myself. That's kind of what it is. I want to
Okay.
keep kind of
All right.
putting myself out there. And God forbid, I find myself in a situation where I have to somehow defend myself or take care of myself. I've obviously up to this point at 43. I want to be able to, if I'm in a situation that is not so great, I would like to be able to know that I'm going to be okay.
Confidence.
Confidence. I can assume that I could defend myself, but do I really know how to defend myself? No, not really. I might be able to tackle somebody. You know, that's about it.
Sure.
But I mean, how's that going to help you? You know what I mean? So I just was thinking, but then do I live my life thinking I'm preparing myself for something bad to happen, or am I thinking I'm going to live my life just in case something does happen? I can at least take care of
No, see,
myself.
that was different. To me, I never even thought about, am I preparing myself for something bad to happen? For me, it was, these are my own fears. I'm battling myself. I'm not even worried about anybody else. I'm battling my self-confidence. I get nervous when I do podcasts. I was nervous as fuck before I met you. I was nervous as fuck before I met him.
What?
But now that I've had them, they're old news.
Oh, you've had us.
Yeah.
You've had us all right.
No, I mean, I'm comfortable now.
Right.
You know,
Everything.
the more I do this, the more comfortable I get with doing
I was a little
doing the
nervous.
After you have
I was a little
us.
nervous coming here and it being live now.
See, but now your cherry's broken. You're feeling good about
It's all
it.
good now.
But
Everything's
yeah, but that's
downhill.
the war. I'm not thinking about preparing myself for some calamity that's going to happen down the road. I'm trying to make me less insecure by putting myself into
And an environment that you're not comfortable
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah,
It's a good point.
And it makes me feel even better knowing that I know somebody who's in that environment.
Or hearing either these guys say, "Oh, people come in all the time worried," or come in all the
They
time.
do.
They know nothing.
I hear that all
they
the
know
time.
They come in and they absolutely nothing, and they get on the map for the first time.
Just come in, take a selfie or two. Post it to your Facebook. Next
And
thing
then
you know.
just say, hey, I'm
He
a
got all his
I just-
libertarian Ron Paul stuff out. Now he can mellow out. And
I just
chill.
for once I want to someday be able to get over the fact that I'm nervous that a woman is going to submit me. I'm really fucking scared shitless. I think my penis is like,
I don't have that nerve.
See, I want to get to at least stage 1. I think that's stage 1, maybe stage 2. I'm
With
just
your head
kidding.
being that big, or just
With my shirt being that tight.
Hey,
No,
man. Hey, it's not the shirt, it's the dude underneath.
that's true.
all that hard work at the anvil.
hashtag heard that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Hashtag that's how we do.
52406,
Hashtag Big
52407.
Rock.
Very nice.
You know what? We talked about some heavy shit today. We talked about
Good.
some heavy shit. We
Good
talked about
stuff.
some good shit. We talked about some stuff that's going on in London that you probably never even knew about.
Selfies.
We also talked about some
Selfies.
selfies. We talked about some things that are, they're not politically correct. Step out of those fucking comfort zones. Have real conversations with people. Don't be afraid to give your opinions on things, because some things, they're just fucked up. I don't care what culture you're from.
And also
Like fat
include
people. Sorry.
and also include us. I mean, if you have a problem with the comments we're making, please let us know. We'll talk about it.
Yep.
But the whole point is discussion.
We'll,
so.
we'll screen your comments and not post them if we don't like them. So if we don't agree with you.
Here, Rock.
If Rock controlled the podcast, that's exactly
if Rock
what would be
controlled the
happening.
he doesn't. It's okay.
We've got
It's all
fake
right, baby.
usernames and we post ones that agree with us all the time.
It's a conspiracy, man.
There was some news organization that did do that.
Of course, I'm sure
That was on there. And some people were working there had like I think it was the Daily Show. So some people had 100 different aliases and just getting on comment sections and counteracting everything that they saw that went against whatever the article was about. I was like, holy shit.
And do you think that all the reviews on Amazon are actually people that bought those fucking products?
Nope.
Well, these headphones are working
Thank
pretty.
you.
And all the
These
apps.
are working pretty awesome.
Thank you very much to Jared Demonized Downing.
Thanks for having me on.
He's
You
going to be
bet.
training for another fight in February, March, April, May.
And we will
Sometime
we'll
next
tweet,
time.
we'll,
Next year,
we'll tweet
we'll
it
be
out.
there.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll be
For
there
sure.
to support him. And thank you very much for Rock
Anytime.
coming back. God,
And Ronda Rousey, if you're out there, I got an open challenge. You can't armbar
Just
this
come
guy.
to Cedar Rapids,
Pay this
Iowa.
much.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, make a trip over here. It's a great time. or wait 2 months with me. It's fucking freezing. So
Yeah. So anyway, thank you very much for listening to us. It was a long podcast, but I really enjoyed it.
But real quick, when you want to get a
Jesus.
hold of us, I'm just going to stop you before you get all crazy over there.
All right, I'm sorry.
Come to the Private Scream.
The private scream. That's where we
Sorry.
do. That's where we do lap dances.
Freudian slip.
And we'll do it behind the curtain. It's okay.
All
the bouncer
dudes.
doesn't see what's going on. You can touch, but let's keep it on the down low.
I really don't care what the balance. What you guys do in
Ooh.
there?
Dudes
That's right,
only.
the bouncers.
Yeah, you may.
I'm bouncing. I don't care what you guys do.
Go to the
Just
primalscream.org and you can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. You can also look at our Pinterest. I've been pretty active on Pinterest. I've been enjoying putting shit on
You're doing a
there.
great job. baby. You're doing a great job.
Oh,
It's
you'd
a
like
new
it.
thing, like
It's-
weird shit.
I'm into weird shit.
It doesn't involve selfies, so
No, but when you're on there, you can
Pointless.
you can subscribe to iTunes. Please follow us. Please comment like crazy. We'd love to have some comments from you guys so we can continue these discussions. We want more than just one idea. Rock doesn't have all the answers,
I don't know about that.
but we want to hear. We want to hear from you. So please let us know if you have comments and ideas and suggestions. Also, there's a donate button there. Realize that anything that goes beyond us paying our overhead costs will go to a local charity. And we'll even take comments about that too. But
Yeah, you know what? The donate button. It doesn't just go into overhead costs. We are constantly trying to look for better equipment, things that make that make the podcast sound better. Educating ourselves in the technical aspect of it, of shit on the computer. It's all that stuff. That donate for things like that. If you want a better podcast, if you like the way it sounds right now, fuck it, just keep listening. It's free, bitch.
Yeah, don't give it any money.
Yeah. There it is. Enjoy it.
there you go.
All right, so I'm Matt.
I'm Todd.
I'm Rock.
I'm Jared.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Adios.
Talk to you later.
Peace out.
Good night.